All right. We are now live. What is going on, Team Prestige? Yo, I've been grinding, man. I've been grinding on this YouTube thing, man, and it's been fun. It's been fun. I really appreciate all the subscribers. People have been watching the content. People have been giving the feedback, both good and bad. I appreciate you all. Trust me. But it's still a season again. It's transfer season. It's that time again. I tell you, it's a very basically a silly season. You can hear all sorts of rumors, as it relates to Arsenal. Arsenal always linked to all sorts of players from time. I wouldn't even be surprised if Arsenal is still linked to Benzema all now. Because God no, it's like it's a crazy time and thing. But as you know, I have my main co-host, my special guest, Jamcasian, aka Bob, my G. Like, he's somebody that is very knowledgeable on Arsenal, and of course, let's welcome him back to the show. Welcome back, Bob. Welcome back. My
Yo,
Netherlands
yo,
brother.
yo.
Well, go on, bro. Everything good?
Everything is good. Everything is Irie. Everything is Irie.
Uh,
That was cringe. I'm sorry.
man, no worries, man. No worries. No worries. But
Alright.
it's that time of year again. Transfer season, silly season.
Yeah.
I don't know what you've heard so far, bro, but I've read a whole bunch of
Oh,
articles, bro.
man.
Whole bunch of articles related
I've
to Arsenal.
listen. I've tried to switch gears this year.
Mm,
Let me tell you a story. A couple years
yeah,
ago, this is when I first, like, within my first year of Arsenal Jamaica. All right.
yeah.
The same transfer window, I believe that we had signed Tommy Odegaard and such in that window.
Oh,
I
yeah.
made a very realistic sounding post, and I nearly got
Mm,
banned for it because it was a joke. So I said that we
yeah.
paid Frankie Barcelona about 85 mil up front plus 17 in add-ons for Frankie De Jong. And I nearly got banned for that
Oh,
because it sounded too good.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I've switched gears this year. I've just been backseating and looking at the realistic options more so than just who I want. I'm looking at I've been looking across the top seven leagues.
mm,
Um, I've been looking at Belgium and Austria too, but like mainly the top seven. Portugal, Netherlands, France, yeah,
yeah.
and the rest of
Germany,
the big four.
and yeah,
Um,
Italy.
it's much nicer to go through the transfer window that way than worrying about the fact that we didn't sign Luis Suarez all summer. Yeah, I can't go through that anymore. So
40 million and 1 pound. 40 million and 1 pound. I
listen,
mean,
in his justification, he said that he was testing the waters, right?
yeah,
Liverpool took it as direct offense, immediate offense, and just decided to block us. Ultimately, that's what happened, right?
yeah,
Wenger was just testing the waters because they were very vague with their terminology, and they
yeah.
said any offer above 40 mil. So the man said, "Okay, yeah." And now people don't do that anymore about any offer above 40 mil. No, we want your clear. What is your asking
Yeah,
price? Everybody, you
exactly.
can't do that no more because of that. That well, it's not
Yeah,
obviously not because of that, but that's a
well,
perfect example why you need to state what you want, plain and true.
exactly. Ask and you shall receive.
Exactly. You want 85 mil? We give you 85 mil for Victor Gyökeres. That's all we want to hear.
So, before we get into any specifics, let me just
Yeah.
read an article from Football London. So, I'm just going to read a,
Good.
a small snippet from it. It says, Eyes will be trained on Arsenal this summer to see whether Mikel Arteta can bring in the right personnel to see the Gunners topple Manchester City in the Premier
Mm,
League. While a
mm,
number of exits are expected, the excitement surrounds who the club might bring in. Alexander Isak has been a name linked for a number of months. Reports claim Newcastle have held talks with the striker, telling him he's going nowhere. Meanwhile, rumor moots Arteta has met with Marcus Rashford ahead of his potential exit from Manchester United. He may leave Old Trafford if the right offer comes in, having suffered poor campaigns in two of the last three seasons. Arsenal are otherwise supposedly interested in Athletic Bilbao star Nico Williams. The attacker
mm.
is 51 million release clause that the Gunners are said to be willing to meet. So those are the three main transfer targets that Football London has touted. So
Mm.
let's start off. I guess the most I guess the biggest transfer that could have happened, possibly, and that would be Alexander Isak.
Mm.
So, bro, what are your thoughts about Isak and his likeliness of joining Arsenal?
Okay. Well, number one, let me just say, I really like this player. I've been known about him since Dortmund signed him from AIK in. I don't remember the Swedish name of the club, but it's like a blackish blue and yellow kit that they wear, and he was
Oh,
touted as the next Ibra.
wow,
Um,
that's far back, bro.
yeah, so I knew him from he was in Dortmund's youth transfer mill, transfer round. You know that buy and sell, the buy and
Yeah,
sell. That's Dortmund's been doing for years. Um, I always hoped that he was going to become a good player. Um, be it for Dortmund, I was hoping, but obviously I didn't current like that point in time. I didn't really understand that Dortmund was all about sales, sales, sales.
yeah,
At that point in time, they've slowed down a bit now because I guess they've made enough money for the last 10 years, so that they can chill on selling your squad. But Alexander Isak is a phenomenal striker. Bar the injury record, which I really don't think um, the trade off for the injury timeline that
yeah,
is, in a sense, when a team decides, I want this player, and you have to look at the payoff and the downtime and such, and the all the risks and pros and cons and such. If he gives you 14 goals, gets injured, and he's gone from October, November till about February, March, and
yeah,
comes back and gives you another 10 to 15 goals, that is still a great payoff to me, albeit he's missed 3 to 4 months of the season. Because you look at it and say, okay, even though he could have gotten way more goals and benefited us way more in that period of time, it was still a great return of what? Damn near 20, almost 30, almost a decent 25 goal season,
yeah,
nearing 30 with injury time. He is a great striker. He will be considered world class depending on where he goes. Obviously, it's not going to be a Real Madrid. There's no space for him, and there's no time for him. Someone like him, in terms of the injury record and such, they're not going to really look at him.
yeah.
Um, I don't think he's going to come to Arsenal. And I'm not saying that he himself doesn't want to come to Arsenal.
Hmm.
I think it's Newcastle and what they want, because as we know, Premier League clubs, as much as they might have a release clause, they prefer to negotiate.
Yeah.
And he is under contract for at least 2.5 years, if I'm not mistaken. I could look this up real quick, but
I'm on transfer market now. Let's check it out.
yeah, I think it might be 2.5 years. But there's a few websites, especially nowadays, where you can get information directly from the agency that he might fall under. That's really revolutionized how people look at transfers, because that's actively accessible data now. Like the databases or the public domain of like certain agencies that players might be under. That was something that I didn't expect. But yeah,
Contract expires June 30, 2028.
2028. So he's on the
Yeah.
full 4 years.
Yeah, man.
Another
It's
three and a
crazy.
half years, 4 years. Yeah, so that is a lot of money. So the touted price of around 120 million pounds too. And I'm not sure if you've seen this as well, but I saw 200 million pounds at one point in time.
Whoa, whoa,
I don't know
whoa.
if that was where I saw that rumor, but I saw 200 million pounds circling
Because I
in a.
saw I saw the 120.
Yeah, I saw the 120 um, across the week, but I saw 200 like a couple weeks ago because of the contract situation and the goal
Hmm.
return and a bunch of other expectations where they would factor that in. Um, the problem, like I said, is going to be negotiation.
Yeah.
Getting the player on board with a team like Oz is not going to be a problem anymore. It hasn't been a problem for the last 2.5 years for us to get a player sold on the project, and it's no longer a project anymore. It's no longer a project and a process. It's just the process and I guess the journey at this point. It's no longer a
Yeah.
process, the journey that the club is going through. So it's not hard to sell players on Arsenal anymore. And Champions League football is a yeah.
Yeah. Yo, big up yourself, Wolfgang. Wolfgang, I agree with you 10,000%, bro. Yeah, exactly. Castle, no way Castle is going to get 200 million for
Listen,
Isak.
I was trying not
Isak
to
is
pay too
great.
much attention to what he
Yo,
said, but
Isak
it
is
just,
great, but no way. No way.
yeah,
No way.
nobody's getting 200 million pounds.
Nobody's, exactly. No way.
Technically, Barca
Well,
Technically,
yeah,
Barca didn't even get 200 million pounds. They got 222 million euros. So
yeah.
yeah, there's that. Not even for Neymar. No one. No,
No one.
no one.
Exactly. No one, man. But like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So looking at Isak, we've seen his stats. We've seen 30 appearances, 21 goals, 2 assists. So that's 23 GA in 30 appearances. Amazing stats.
yeah.
Um,
And you really have to look at something like this.
hmm,
I don't always like looking at it, but uh, the amount of goals, like postseason or halfway through the season, or depending on what stage of the season we are, and looking at the goals and assists, I like looking at the XG and the XA at that point in time,
I mean that.
and
I mean
considering
that's a
how they
qualification.
finish.
Yeah,
Yeah. And you're saying, oh, for instance, Holland in his first season, expected goals was probably what, 27, 28, and he got what, 36, 34?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so that is always ultimately just means you're overachieving. It was the same for Odegaard last season, 15 and 15. Nobody, the XG was like 10 and 9 or something like that for him last season, because a lot of the goals, if you remember correctly, were like outside of the box from range.
yeah.
I think at least
So,
6 or 7 of them. And nobody really expects that to beat the keeper, but with a lot of shadow in front of you, you're not going to see it until late, and it's cutting across you and sliding. So yeah, keeper's not getting that. But off topic, from one Scandinavian back to the other, Isak is um, phenomenal player. He would fit right into our system seamlessly. He wouldn't have to. We wouldn't have to worry about him being out injured for X amount of time, because we already have Havertz, right?
yeah,
Um, Even if Havertz isn't the long term striker option, we always have Havertz as an option to be up front. Even if we don't get, let's not say this and speak it into being, because I actually still want a striker. A natural poacher, and Havertz isn't that goal hungry monster that we need up front.
yeah. But
Um,
Bob, sorry to interrupt you, but I think Wolfgang brings up a very important point. He's saying the thing I don't understand with Newcastle is that they really in need of money? So why sell one player for so much money? And that's a very interesting thing, because Newcastle is the richest club in the world, but yet they still need to sell, due to the profit and sustainability model that they have to
yeah,
follow. So it's like it's kind of interesting because on one hand, Manchester City in the early days were able to take advantage of being rich,
mhm.
before the profit and sustainability came afloat, right?
And now
And then
Manchester City
and
have to
now,
sell properly.
yeah, I know, Manchester City has to navigate the profit and sustainability, but no, Newcastle now doesn't have that same leeway, you know.
Yeah, because they don't
So
have like a near a decade worth of players in their backlog to
yeah,
work with or to negotiate over. They just have their current squad.
yeah, and then as well, they also don't make as much revenue as Manchester City,
Mhm.
because I mean Newcastle. I mean, even though Newcastle is, I guess, well, not really big. I'd say they're like a medium-sized club. They
Yeah,
aren't really big, but I mean, they definitely have a lot of loyal supporters. But their revenue, most of their revenue, at least a good amount of it, is for the people who are actually in the stadium.
right.
Because Newcastle isn't really an internationally, supported team per se.
Yeah,
Don't
in
also, don't
comparison.
offend, yeah, in comparison. I don't offend
Yeah,
any international Newcastle fans, but yeah.
yeah.
So
I
I
have a
think
friend that's a Newcastle fan, so yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I
So
I don't recall how he became a Newcastle fan, but I do respect it, to be honest. And
yeah,
yeah, yeah, but
yeah. One of my closest friends is a West Ham fan. I respect him too for
hmm
that because
yeah,
I'm a
one
Crystal
twenty
Palace
mil is
fan.
the max I would have us pay for Isak.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and obviously it's going to be amortized, so it's not going to be 120 mil in one summer because that's not
Exactly.
allowed. So
Correct.
for financial like accounting purposes, it would not be sensible for any club to do that because even if they were going to get the money anyway, the clubs themselves that are receiving this cash decided that I don't really know the history behind the amortization rules or
Mm.
the strategy, if you might call it that. But
Yeah,
ultimately, when you look at it, you don't want your books to be saying 25 mil last week, 25 mil this week, 175 mil yesterday. That's not going to look good when you're going to
yeah,
be, your auditor comes in. Yeah, it's not going to look great. So
yeah.
it's
True.
about image. It's about uniformness, um, and it's also about ultimately it's about accountability. Lack of a better word,
Yeah,
to really understand how, and it's also about the control about controlling the situation. Because
yeah,
if you
yeah,
take that 120 mil right up front, that's you have to deal with the bank, you have to deal with the just all of the legal um, differences between taking 120 mil up front versus taking 40 now, 40 next summer, and 40.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Because then due to the profit and sustainability, if they were to take 120 mil in one go, it would ruin their transfer budget. They couldn't buy any other player
yeah,
because because they're able to amortize it over the years, 5 to 6 years to pay it off. They're able to
mhm.
use some extra money, some add-on money, or some you
Yeah,
know for like
because
some other transfers.
as much as there's not really like that North American sports salary slash money cap system, it's unspoken that yes, really and truly, you're not allowed to spend X amount. Well, it's not unspoken actually. There's a percentage of your budget that can be spent on transfers, on refurbishment and sustainability of the club's infrastructure and youth academy, depending on what the club's ethos is, and you have to stay in line with that. But
Mhm.
yeah, they can't. Ultimately, the bottom line is they can't take the whole 120, and they can't expect to get the whole 120 um, in
Yeah,
the deal itself. It's not going to go that far, I don't think. I think at most it's going to top off of like a 110, 105 if anybody pays the cash. But I see somewhere like Chelsea paying it. I see maybe us or it depends on the if we really want to spend another 105 mil. But I don't
yeah.
think we have a problem with spending the cash.
Mm.
It's just ultimately about the profile. It's about all the other factors that, as Edu says, he has like 150-page documents on one single player. Uh,
Yeah,
on his desk. I mean, it's not his and Arteta's decision; it's a team's decision at the end of the day. So
yeah,
let's see.
yeah, and
No,
mm,
I don't think he's coming to Arsenal though. Personally,
well, I mean, we can only hope, but I think I agree with you. I don't think he's come to Arsenal either. As much as I'd love for him to come to Arsenal, I think he'd be an ideal signing for us. But I just don't see us breaking our transfer budget. I mean, our transfer record. Sorry, our club transfer
again,
record again, like so soon. I mean,
Yeah, I
105 million for
personally don't
Rice,
think
120 for Isak. I mean,
Mhm. I think we'll break our record for the position itself, or like the area, which is the forward position.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
but we won't break the overall record. So we'll break the record for the forward position. And
mm,
obviously, I still think and believe it's going to be one of the two. Um, Obviously, we haven't heard anything about Gyökeres since I guess the mid that last 10 games of the 10-15 games of the season of across Europe, and of course since the start of the end of the season we haven't heard much about it. But ultimately there's a bunch of smoke and mirrors. It could be Gyökeres, could be Shesko, could be Isak. We don't know. So and nobody knows. There is no such thing as an in the know nowadays anyway. Unless you get that.
well, unless you're Fabrizio
Yeah,
Romano. I mean, that guy
yeah.
predicts anything.
Oh man. Yeah.
Man,
But yeah,
but
another thing is it is a very small pick of clubs that can really pay that kind of cash and
yeah,
that really need a striker at that. Number one, um, I'm not going to rule out anybody else in Europe. Let's just say that as well. But here's the problem: um, the only real destinations he could go are PSG, right?
yeah,
Which I don't think he'll leave the Prem after getting a
no,
taste.
no, I don't see that
He
either.
can't go to Barca; they're broke. He can't go to Real Madrid; they don't need him, and they already
Yeah,
have Mbappe coming in
exactly. Mbappe's
potentially.
already.
Yeah, air quotes potentially. Um, he can't go to Bayern. There's Kane there; they don't need him.
Yeah,
Um, Chelsea, if they were in the Europa League, sure, but in the Conference League, maybe. Considering Newcastle isn't in Europe anyway. Chelsea, maybe. Manchester United, I can see it happening actually, and him and Hoyland being the two strikers. It's up to them. It's not my job,
really,
you know.
really.
But
See, you think that Ten Hag is going to move to up top? I mean, this is just a side. It's a side
not
question, but
necessarily two up top, but more
just
like
rotate the
a
two
second
strikers.
striker or like a floating striker role.
Oh,
Yeah, so it depends.
mm,
For instance, just like how Bruno Fernandes was basically playing center forward in a
yeah,
starting role. Obviously, in practice, it's not really him playing center forward. It's really what Odegaard does, where he goes
yeah,
into that striker position and dwells
correct.
on the edge of the 18, goes back into the midfield, um, to the edge of the area to link up and support the play it back to the right back and make a three, whatever, what we always do.
Yeah,
Um, it's basically what Bruno Fernandes is and what I think Man United is moving towards. So how Ten Hag played in that cup final was probably how Isak, in if they go get Isak, how it would look. But and Bruno probably would go deeper with Kobe. Um, Ultimately, that's not a very defensive-minded team.
mm.
But hey, I guess trial by fire for Kobe.
But
Yeah,
before we move on from Isak, I
yeah.
want you to give a rating out of 10 how likely it is for Isak to come to Arsenal. Like, give us a Jamcasian out of 10. What's the Jamcasian rating out of 10? How likely do you think this is up?
As much as I've said, I don't think it's going to happen. I
Mm,
think it is still highly likely.
mm.
Outside of my own opinion, I think it's still highly likely. So I'm going to use a little bit of logic here and say it's a solid 6 out of 10 chance that he will sign for Arsenal.
6 out of 10 chance. Mm,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, that doesn't sound too
and
bad.
it's ultimately about the bunch of factors does take off those 4 marks. So obviously, Premier League clubs deal a bit harder with us. That's the one.
Yeah,
Um, his Premier League experience, a bunch, and his performances so far, his profile, character, blah blah blah. All of that's going to drive up the price and keep it high, regardless of whether they're in Europe or not. He performed individually and as a team player, so it's going to keep price up. Um, If the price drops 7 out of 10, yeah, yeah. If it's
Yeah,
below 100, yeah. If it's
yeah.
less
But
than
the thing,
105, yeah.
but the thing is, like, what do you think is more likely, Bruno Guimaraes or Isak to Arsenal?
Bruno G is more likely
I feel so too
because
because
ultimately he
yeah,
is as much. Sorry, as much as we need the striker to
mhm,
kind of elevate the front line, and I'm not saying that we really need the striker with a team that just scored 91 goals and still lost. But the problem isn't the goals; it's more so about the dynamics and how we can play in certain games. Um, the two Villa games, the West, all the losses. Let me not recall them too heavily, but all the losses and the cup dropouts and all the draws that we faced this season, we're all missing that cutting edge, tap-in merchant type of goal threat in
yeah,
those in certain portions of those games where we are too pretty on the ball, we're too creative, we're too dwelling on the ball. Havertz is too second guessy on the ball sometimes, especially in the first half of the season. Even
yeah,
in the second half, where he'll get 5 chances a game, he'll convert two against Chelsea, and the third one gets saved. That's fine, but we want 3 out of 5. We want 60% or higher conversion out of 5 chances. Really, we want 3 out of 5 chances on target with a chance of goal. When we really talk about like a lethal clinical striker, um, so regardless of the amount of goals we've scored, even if we sign a striker and he only gives us 9 extra goals and we just get to 100 goals in comparison to the 91, that is fine. The problem isn't
yeah.
goals because at the end of the day, it's going to get distributed across the team, regardless of us signing a 25 plus striker. Um, but yeah, a lot of factors play into whether or not he's going to sign for the club, and the 6 is warranted for me personally because it is going to be a difficult transfer to pull off. And the main reason I'm putting that up to is the club we're buying from. Um, Not that we have any beef with Newcastle, but they I'd rather play. I would wholeheartedly pay the 100 for Bruno. I don't care. Um, Someone like Bruno, like having a 200 mil midfield, 208, the damn near 300 mil midfield is a cheat code. Um, Odegaard is 110 million, is basically 90 million pounds worth in his values recently raised. So he's 90 to 95 million pounds. So it's basically a 300 mil midfield if we
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
find Bruno G. And then we have to win something because then rival fans are going to be talking about, oh yeah, you still not win nothing with that. Yeah, Arteta spends money like crazy. I'm like, I don't care, man.
yeah, yeah.
But we have
Like,
to win something. If we
I
made
mean,
either of those
yeah,
signings, we have to win multiple titles next season. I don't
no, I
need
agree.
I need the Prem and something else. I don't care what it is that goes, but the Premier League at least. But I want a cup with it, like a next FA Cup, um, or a League Cup. I don't know, something with the Prem. You know?
So yeah, so we're moving on to Bruno
Yeah.
Guimaraes.
Yeah.
You already did a segue, but Bruno Guimaraes is also
Mm.
one of the players we're linked to. Um, he plays in midfield for Newcastle, and
Mhm.
he's had a good season, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't really watched Newcastle as in depth as I did the previous season, but I heard that he did well. And yeah, as Wolfgang is saying, it's around 90 million, 100 million for Bruno Guimaraes.
Mhm.
And I think he's more likely going to be sold more than an Isak because Isak, replacing Isak for Newcastle, I think it's harder than to replace Guimaraes for Newcastle. That's why I see it.
Yeah.
So
I
that's why
personally,
ultimately I believe Guimaraes should be more likely the one that they'll sell to raise funds.
yeah, he is an easier sell for them.
Yeah,
One of the problems I see with selling Isak as well is um, the cultural aspect for Newcastle itself. Because I'm not saying he is, but he possibly gives them a new Alan Shearer to look up to. So it is
yeah,
probably a harder player to move on, and especially he spent time being raised in England as well, he understands that portion of the culture. So
Mm.
he's not like blind to why these people like me so much and stuff like that, or what this really means to these people. He knows this stuff, right?
Yeah.
Just as Holland does know this stuff. He grew up in England for a little while as well. Um, or for as long as his dad's legs worked. But yeah,
Oh, oh man. Man, I shouldn't be laughing, but man. But
but Roy Keane
so
is a miss.
yeah, but I mean I have to ask you a question regarding Gimaresh. So
Hmm.
say we do get Gimaresh, say for 100 million, where do you think he fits best in our starting 11? Do you think he would play the left eight or do you think he'd be the six?
He's a six. Rice
Okay,
is
so
free.
so Rice would be the left eight.
Yeah, Rice gets more freedom automatically. I'm not saying that Bruno does not have the attacking capabilities or
Hmm.
the uh the creative capabilities to add to the progression of the ball up to the field or the tempo in the opponent's half, but he is more suited to sit back than Rice is, based off the last season we've just had with Rice.
Yeah.
Having him in that left eight, with the goals and assists record that he had, um, and also my reasoning behind that is the matchups, or the well, more so the partnerships, not matchups, that would be created in that team. So you have him, Gabriel, and the left back, right? And Saliba, of course. You'll have times where Odegaard will drift to the left eight, as people have been talking about since the start of last season, I think, where
Yeah.
they've noticed that about him, where in that left sided versus the right sided channel, it looks like he thrives a bit more. And in
Mm.
that sense, Rice would go to the right with Saka and White, which is a perfect. If we're talking about FIFA, that's perfect chemistry links, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the dynamics change a bit with somebody like Bruno, and it would, having him sit right there with the two centre backs. Number one, it would allow Gabriel and Saliba to be not necessarily less involved, but more so relaxed in their involvement in the build-up play, because he would act as if almost like a two-man midfield in front of them by himself. Personally, that's
Mm.
how I look at him. Yeah, he's a true ball winning midfielder. Yes, um, and I'm not saying that Rice isn't, but Rice is more so a destructive tackle. Gets the ball 9 out of 10 times, of course, but he's not that pitbull style of player that we would really need. That's what we hoped Lucas Torreira would have been, but
Yeah.
alas, yeah,
But
because
what I
ultimately, if we
find very
really look back,
interesting,
yeah.
Bob, but what I
Hmm?
find very interesting though, Bob, like this GA that Gimaresh has, seven
Hmm.
goals and the eight assists.
Yep,
These stats remind me of Granit Xhaka, his best season for Arsenal when he had 7-7, when he had
yep,
14 GA. And the amount for Declan Rice GA is a little higher than this. So it's almost like
at 15, yep.
yeah. So it's almost like these players are very similar in terms of their GA. And I think as well, Gimaresh could also possibly play the eight. I feel like his passing is
Oh yeah,
decent enough to play it.
yeah.
So so
I'm
are
not
so are
saying
we
he
now
didn't.
thinking
Hmm?
so now are we now thinking that maybe mid match they can switch from 6 to 8 between them,
Oh yeah,
Rice and Gimaresh?
even better. What I would like to say about that is
Yeah.
that with my mention of Odegaard in that three in the midfield, because I think we are sticking with a three in the midfield, or like a conventional three looking midfield.
Mm.
Obviously, that's going to change mid match and all of that with the 50 different formations that Arteta mentioned from the Community Shield last year, which is
Yeah.
crazy, still very crazy, because you will probably see half of that. Me probably see half of them. I'm gonna
Yeah.
see the rest of
Yep.
them. But yeah, he sees. completely different. He gets paid to do this. I'm not going to question that part.
Oh yeah, we're
No,
soon. Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that soon. We're gonna get to that soon.
we're going to
But
get to that. But you mean Arteta, right? Yeah,
yeah, of course, Arteta and his new contract. But we'll get to that. That'll be
we'll
the
get
last
to
thing we
that.
speak.
So with the Bruno and how he would basically allow certain things to be more fluid and more possible in the midfield, you have even a possibility of Odegaard becoming that, not the six, but the deep line midfielder, playmaker behind those two, in front of the two centre backs, depending on the state of the game, the type of opponent we're having. Whereas you have him and you have both of them, Bruno G and Rice, in front of him, blocking off any sort of pressuring that might come towards him in those deeper positions, allowing him to play a ball to somebody on the left back, be it Kivio or Tomiyasu, whoever it is, the new left back, if we get one, Martinelli, Trossard, or playing a ball over the top, one ball over the top to whoever's playing striker, without that pressure on him, or him just playing a switch, which apparently Arteta doesn't like switches.
Mm.
Back to that right wing, and this is me speaking in the context that Arteta, he's playing in front of two centre backs, but he's more in that left channel over to the left back side. That's
Yeah.
how I'm thinking about or envisioning it. So in certain phases of play, they can fully rotate that midfield. So you have Bruno at the six, playing that ball winning midfielder role, Rice at the six, playing that defensive shielder role, but also like a deep driver. And then you have Odegaard at the high air quote six deep line playmaker role, in different phases of different types of games. So it can work. Yeah, yeah. At the
So
end of the
so you're
day, that's
thinking.
all you needed to
So you're
do.
so you're basically seeing like six flexible sixes. So they're not actually. So in essence, you're saying that they can play potentially, or they could play in the six, but
Yeah.
temporarily. It just depends on the phase of play.
Yes. So
Ah,
it all
got you.
depends on the game state. Are we at 0-0? Are we 2-0 up? Yeah, but what I'm saying is sometimes certain players unlock certain things from a deeper position on the pitch. I understand that you might want to keep Odegaard closer to the attack, but sometimes you see things when you're much. I think somebody like Gabriel can see the long ball better than Odegaard from
Yeah,
the half line, because ultimately he's seeing more of the pitch, right? So that's why I was
yeah.
suggesting that that rotation can happen, because Odegaard might, for his own good, want to start from a deeper position to get a better picture of the map, you know? So
Like a
that's
deep
all I
line
was really
playmaker
saying
kind of
about
thing.
that. Hmm?
Yeah, yeah, like a deep line playmaker kind of thing.
Ultimately,
When
like a deep line
yeah,
playmaker, or like, I guess, a tempo setter like a regista, like a Perlo, where he can
yeah,
literally just play any pass. Where something about Boateng was saying, oh, he used to shout and say, give me the ball. And he's just like, no bother with that. You just need to move what you need to move. Me, I can see you and pass the ball. Don't worry about that. You don't have to tell me nothing. That's Perlo. And
mm,
that's how I think Odegaard can end up being, especially in the latter, what is it, twilight stages when you're getting older.
yeah, correct.
Yeah, even in the latter stages of his career, Odegaard can become like a Perlo, where he's just in that deep position. And you have the two defensive-minded players in front of him instead of behind him. So it
Ah,
depends.
that's a good question. From Wolfgang. Do you mind answering that, Bob? Um,
Who's going to pull the strings further up the pitch? Saka,
mm,
because we're seeing that ultimately flexibility, right? Um, you're saying who's going to pull the strings further up the pitch, but you also have to look at it and say where Odegaard it is where the play would be normally, right? And with certain players, for instance, you have Declan Rice, and let's use the hypothetical that Bruno G is now an Arsenal player, right? You have the two of them shielding him, who is the danger man, who can make things happen. He has all this space. They have to come for the ball, and that's going to open up pockets for somebody like a Saka to go a little bit more central off of the wing. And ultimately, what that means is with that shift in move, with that change in movement, then the ball will move with that. Odegaard will respond to that movement. So I'm not saying that he can't pull the strings from that deep. He very much can. It's going to be a bit more difficult for us to understand how that works now because we haven't really seen Arsenal do that. But we've seen Odegaard drop deeper before to start the play from the centre backs because, well, it's not working up the pitch. So I can ask you, what if we're coming up with a bunch of, we're not coming up with any aces around the 18-yard box because nobody's letting us in, meaning you have to play from deeper.
Correct.
Is a whole
Perfect example is against
pull them
Porto.
out.
I believe Porto.
Yeah, you have to pull
Porto's
them
a
out.
perfect example. Yeah.
Because ultimately they're not going to follow, and we're just going to be passing the ball around the 18, and then ultimately what's that's going to lead to? They're going to intercept, and it has to go back to our two centre backs anyway. So I understand what you're saying about pulling the strings, but sometimes playing it from deeper is, in a sense, beneficial against a low block team. Well, against a low block team now, I think it might be dependent on the time in the game. How much minutes gone in the game? What's the scoreline? If it's 0-0 after 35 minutes in the first half, then we have to drive forward. We have to change the mindset because ultimately, in 35 minutes and it's 0-0, and we have X amount of majority of the possession, it means they're not here to play football. So you are correct in that sense that it would probably be much more difficult against a low block team. But there are ways. I'm not Arteta. I'm not the coach. Don't ask me how. I have my ideas, and those were a few. But it depends on the players about the players on the pitch around Odegaard at that point in time, though. And ultimately, it also depends on him picking the right passes or the right moments more so than the passes. And the right movements, and the body language is also important. But it's all about the evolution of the players, not just him, but other players around him as well. But let's see what happens, because that is something that Arteta has a lot of homework to do from last season. It is the low block, neutralization of the low block teams, and the counter-attacking teams. So let's see what he does. But
yeah. But okay. So Wolfgang's gonna put in his comments. So I want Bob to answer that, and then after that, I want Bob to say what the likeliness of Bruno Guimaraes coming to Arsenal is.
okay.
So let's see what Wolfgang is
Saka
saying.
is double or triple. Okay. Yeah. All right. That is still a problem that we have, right? Saka being doubled and tripled, and in a sense, Odegaard being in that position would normally offset some of that heavy lifting or the pressures that he's facing. He might take one with him, and Saka is still being marked by one man, and half a man's attention is upon him. Now, I ask you, why Rice can't help him? So Rice could potentially help him, and you might ask, okay, in my hypothetical, it was Bruno G and Rice shielding Odegaard. Well, why Ben White can't do it? Or why Saliba can't come forward a little bit? If, like I said, remember, this is me envisioning Odegaard over towards the left more. So it means that Saliba can technically maybe come back towards the half line out of our half a bit more. So there's always like certain things that can shift in the team, and you have to remember the shape of the team is not always like an arrow pointing at the goal. So the play takes different shapes at the end of the day. Um, and yes, the goal, getting a goal or getting towards goal or getting a shot on goal or putting the ball in the back of the net is obviously always the end goal, but the phases of play demand that like certain we have to give them certain things or certain triggers. I think that was a word that was used a lot. I don't know if you watch a lot of
Yeah.
what's his name, the different knock.
Yeah, a different knock. Yeah, yeah.
He uses the term triggers a lot. So certain movements or certain moments that they pick up from all players, that's opposition, and vice versa, what we pick up whilst we're in position or out of position. For instance, how we press.
Correct. Yep.
How we press and how we force teams to play with in their defense with their goalkeeper constantly unable to choose his first choice pass and such like
Correct.
that. That's the defense. That's front facing defense, as that. I think that's the terminology. Where you're defending from up from your attack. But yeah, it depends on the shape of the team and the whole Saka double or triple situation. I'm not saying he's going to ease off, but I'm saying that Odegaard is not necessarily the only person that can help him with that. In the shape that I'm describing, even if it's not Bruno G and Rice shielding Odegaard whilst he's doing what he wants to do in front of our two centre backs, it can be White, and then it can also be a situation where Saliba is, in a sense, drawing one player and basically, in a sense, teasing himself as a passing option, depending on what Odegaard wants to do. So it all depends on the shape of the team, the triggers and the intentions, and how much time are they, because our team is patient. Let's just say that. Team is very patient. We will build up for 5-10 minutes just to get one goal. That's still in our DNA. As much as we can score a goal in 5 seconds and concede one in 5 seconds as well, but we still have that 5-10 minute build up in our system. That 20 to 30 pass build up. So I think the major offset to Saka's plight over there on the right side would be, in a sense, how we build up over time in one phase of play. So, in a sense, easing up the pressure. I don't mean that Saka gets the ball and quickly releases it because he doesn't want the pressure. I don't mean that. I mean, in a sense, you could keep the ball on the left side for a minute of play. It's Trossard, Tomiyasu, ball the way back to Raya. Raya plays it back to the left back, bam, 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 and we just keep it on that left side. Then we see that Odegaard is slowly making his way back to central. Then he makes his way back to right. And then, in a sense, at some point in time, Saka is going to have literally nobody looking at him for even a split second. You know, I know we don't really want us to change. You don't really want us to change that, but we don't really have a say in it. We know Arteta is going to change it. He's going to change something, because you really look at it. Last season was the first instance for us to realize he was going to change something this season. That just concluded that those final 2 games, the loss to Nottingham Forest, that sealed the mathematics for City to win the league last season, and then the start of this season with the Community Shield. It was evident. It was evident what was about to happen. The whole party at right back situation. Everybody was annoyed by that, but it worked like 30% of the time, not even half. But it was
good.
It was experimentation at the end of the day. Our coach is going to do that. So even though I'm not the guy to determine what I just said is, oh yeah, that's definitely what Arteta is going to do. No, I don't think so. But it's a possibility that I'm preparing myself for. In terms of like how I personally have a really open mind when it comes to the current Arsenal team and to football, because I think because of Arteta and the last few seasons of football that I've watched, I've really like opened my mind up to any possibility. I wouldn't even be surprised if I see Raya in central midfield sometime. You just like it will, nothing will surprise me anymore.
Yeah,
Um,
but like Bob, something there real quick.
yeah,
So in terms of Bruno Guimaraes,
yeah.
how likely do you think, in your opinion, will we sign him?
All right. I'm going to give you two answers. How likely is he to leave, and how likely it is for us to sign him? How likely is
Yeah,
it for him to leave? 9 out of 10. He's leaving. I
yeah,
100% believe he's leaving Newcastle. Not because of the pictures and all that, but because I think he is a very much easier player for them to sell and actually make an actual decent amount of cash off of him as well, while they're at it and actually making money back. Um,
yeah.
will he be coming to Arsenal? It's a solid, for me. It's like 7.5 out of 10, 7.5. So it's a fair score, I think. So it's a good chance.
I think I think the biggest thing that could prevent Bruno from coming to Arsenal would be Manchester City, because with Lucas
Yeah,
Paqueta,
that's it.
the problem with Lucas Paqueta, which would be
Yeah,
their would be City's main priority. But due to Lucas Paqueta and the whole betting thing, I
Mhm.
believe Bruno Guimaraes will now be their focus. So it's
Mm.
up to now the player to say, does he want to be in a part of a winning team, or already made a winning team, or do you want to be or do you want to be a part of a team that's primed to win? Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Arsenal's going to win trophies. It's just when. That's the only
Yeah,
question I have.
yeah, it's a win. Because if someone asks you or any of us, will Arsenal win more than two trophies within the next five oncoming years? I say, yeah, we will win more than two trophies
Yeah, yeah,
within the last 5 years.
three
But
trophies.
when in those 5 years, will we win two in the fifth year, or two in the first of those 5 years, which is next season, and then another two, and then go blank for the third season? Which really and truly, if we win four trophies across the next 2 seasons, two each season, or three and then one, or one and then three, that's fine with me. If we have a blank season after that, I any sort of contract extension would be justified with those previous 2 seasons, if even if he
Mm,
blanks in the third season of that 5 years. But it's about the win. It's all about
yeah,
always about the win. Um, and I hope the win is next season and the next 2 seasons at that. Um, that we have some trophies over the next 2 seasons. Not
mm,
just over the next 2 seasons, but first and foremost next season. Um, yeah, but it's a solid 7.5 chance for me, or coming from my perspective, that he could sign for Arsenal. A
mm,
lot of the signs point that there's no real issues. Haven't heard any social issues with him.
mm,
Um, and I bring this up because discipline is always an important thing. Moral, discipline,
yeah,
public decency, and such like that, that have to be considered. Any sort of anger management problems that the player might have. I'm
mm,
talking about Anthony here. Um,
yeah,
because I don't know how Stargate is just a slight aside from football. You know, fair come out of your house with that type of mentality unless you're raised that way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah,
I don't think any sort of human being would come out with that much sort of like lack of self control that he exudes on the pitch, talking to referees, the way how he reacts to just simple jeering and gestures and teasing that other players get every single game. He's very immature in my eyes. Always a fanner, ready for trophies. I'm like, bro,
To be honest, I don't like him. I mean, there's,
never
there's,
liked
there's
him.
very few
I
players.
was
There's very, very few
bro. I
players I
don't.
outright say I don't like. And Anthony
The
to
ban
me,
is
I
not
just go ahead.
confirmed yet, but it's on the table. But it's we already know the timeline that he could be banned for, but we don't
Yeah,
know if it's 100%. The ruling hasn't been passed yet, because
yeah,
obviously
rumors, but
it's not a criminal case; it's more civil
yeah,
tort category. So it's not like a guilty. It's like yes and no that they say. So it's very complex in that it's very nitty gritty
yeah,
to those
yeah,
types of law. Um,
yeah. You're spot on.
the
You're spot
past,
on.
but yeah, 7.5 for Bruno G, 6 for Isak.
So, guys, we're gonna move on to Marcus Rashford, and before anybody says anything, I'm just gonna put my 2 cents out there already. I don't want him. I don't
No,
want him. I think his mindset is wrong. I think he got hype, too hype. Um, in recent times, I preferred when he was humble. I preferred when he was actually working hard for Manchester United. I see him now as somebody who thinks that he's the biggest thing alive, and I don't like what he stands for nowadays. And I mean, it's good that he feeds. He got kids to be fed. During lockdown, that was
right.
good. But in the last
It's
two
not enough
seasons, it has
to
been
push the
so
needle.
disappointing.
Yeah,
And I
at the
really, I
very
really, I
least.
really don't. Wait, sir.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no. All I was saying is that I really don't think Rashford is an Arsenal player. Personally, I don't think he has the right mindset, and I think that's the main thing. That's my main problem with him. I think he's talented. I believe he's a good left winger when he's on form. I really do believe that. But at the same time, when was the last time he had a good season was about 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, the last two
I
seasons
believe
have been great.
the last 2 seasons have been pretty mid, pretty disappointing. And and while Bob gives his thoughts, I'll pull up his transfer market profile to just confirm what I'm saying.
Okay, go ahead.
So Marcus Rashford, cool.
Yeah.
So let us see. Wait, let's just say an FA Cup. No, I don't want FA Cup. I want Premier League. Why is it showing the FA Cup? All right, let's go to Premier League. 33 appearances, 7 goals, 2 assists. Let me repeat that one more time. 33 appearances out of 38.
Mm-hmm.
7 goals, 2 assists. So 9 GA in 33 appearances. No. No, 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 no. I am not having that. I am not having that.
It's not
I
enough.
am not having no, no, no. I don't believe he's right for Arsenal. You see, Wolfgang knows. Wolfgang knows. See, Wolfgang agrees with me. No Rashford, man. I mean, Bob, maybe you can provide a different opinion to the two of us, but
Mm,
I'm anti Rashford. I'm sorry. At this point in
okay.
time.
All right. Good to hear I can't say varying points. It's really very stamped down one answer.
Yeah, yeah.
Um. Okay. It's going to be a weird thing, but start from the character and the current person that he is. I'm not saying he's a horrible person. I mean his attitude towards the sport and towards commitment of the sport, to him of himself to the sport. He's not like Welbeck, where you can change Welbeck. Welbeck for me was no longer a Manchester United player in terms of within his first 2 seasons at Arsenal. He was our player by that time. The game winning goals and such like that, where he really
Yeah.
was involved in the culture. I don't see Rashford being able to really integrate himself into that. Not because he can't grow to love the club, but I don't think the club and the fans will grow to love him that easily. Um,
Agreed.
there's not a lot of players that have that fortunate stint where they all their, to put into air quotes, all their bad deeds and transgressions can be forgiven and then washed away. For instance,
Mhm.
Kai Havertz, he didn't do anything wrong to us personally.
Yeah, correct.
Want that. I'm not saying I didn't, but people didn't want that, right?
Mm.
But we know there's a quality player in there. For Rashford, it's the same. The problem is you really have to assess man to man. Is he really going to be the same or a worse situation than the last player? And I have
Mm.
to agree with you all. And not for the reason that I don't think Arteta can change things or he'd be completely different at Arsenal. I mean, in a different world, I'd like to see it, but in this current one, I don't want that experiment. Um, so let's just put it that way. If we had a second world to try this in, sure, Arsenal signed Rashford. It's like having two saves on Football Manager. You have this one,
Yeah.
this is experimental, and then you have your main one where you really want to be serious about it and stick to where you really think the club's position is. I don't think Rashford fits the bill of a lot of things as well. So, one, the character and profile, commitment, the fight, the passion. I don't think it's there in him anymore. I'm not saying it's dead, but it's asleep, and it's been
Yeah.
asleep for a good about 2 3 years. Even against us, he's not turning up anymore. For the last two appearance, two times, he didn't turn
Mm.
up. When I said that, I mean the last two games. This season, he didn't turn up. Um, for the previous season, when he scored that amazing goal, where you wonder how that sneaked in,
Mm.
how that got past the post. By the way, that was a brilliant goal. Um, he, it's rough, but I can't see him fitting into the squad. His age isn't
Uh,
really the problem because I don't
yeah.
think we would sign him to play wing. We'll probably sign him up top. Um, and let me say this as well. I also won't be surprised if we actually do sign him. Reason being,
Oh.
I think we are still shrewd like that. There's still shrewd businessman mentality within Arsenal, whereas you can't expect us to make £105 million signing every summer. Sometimes we're going to make two 45, £50 million signings, and that's it. I hope that this summer isn't that case, but I am prepared for the possibility that that is what is going to happen. But yeah, I don't think Rashford is going to fit into the Arsenal the formula right now.
I mean, I agree with everything you're saying, with just the exception of, I mean, you said he'll play centre forward. I think he'll actually play on the left wing. I think
Okay.
he would actually play, give Martinelli competition. And also, weirdly enough, I've heard rumors that, although these are some loose rumors, nothing concrete, that Martinelli is in danger of being sold. But I don't think Martinelli will be sold. Yes, he has
No.
had a off season, but Martinelli should not be sold. Do not touch Martinelli. He's one of our star boys. He just had a one off season. He's an excellent player. I love Martinelli, and
If
I
we
would
sell
definitely.
him,
Hmm?
we technically would have to sell Odegaard as well if we're going off seasons. But and by the way, I'm not saying Odegaard had an off season. I think Odegaard played just as good as, if not somewhat better, in terms of the dictator role,
Yeah,
versus just being a goal scorer and an assister that he was the previous season.
I
With
agree with you. Yeah,
yeah, I'm thinking that Martinelli might need a change of role in the team to really help him. So who's to say that we don't sign a left wing and put Martinelli over to the right side? Um,
and
or
maybe that's where Rashford would come in.
yeah, and be Trossard's competition.
Mm,
It,
I
it,
don't
it could
like. I don't like this. I don't like this, bro. Because we're
work.
making sense. We're actually making sense, and I don't like it.
It could work. And
Uh,
But here's the thing now. How long would it take, or how many goals, or how many great performances would it take if he was to sign for us, for you to be set, for you to drop the stigma around this former Manchester United player? If he was to sign for us, how long would it do you think it would take you? A bit longer than Kai?
Actually, yeah, a bit longer than Kai because I dropped the stigma with Kai on me around January. I think that's when I stopped dropping it. I think that's when I dropped it and said, okay, he's actually doing good enough for my liking. But
And
prior
we
to
all,
January, I'm sorry.
yeah,
No,
you were like, this guy shouldn't be starting.
yeah, I was livid. Trust me, I was livid. I mean, I was livid about the signing, and
Mm,
I was livid when livid when he got so many starts. I was like, what are we doing? He's just a midfielder. What are we doing? He's missing too many shots. What are we like? I was just frustrated.
yeah,
But then when I saw him, start to score game winners, I was like, whoa, this guy is actually coming clutch for us.
yeah,
And I was,
useful.
and then yeah, and then I realized that he was overall, especially in the last part of the season, I was impressed. I was actually impressed. When we needed someone to step up, Kai was stepping up for us, and I really respect him for that. So if Rashford has a similar season to Kai, then I'll hold my hands up and say, King Arteta, Manager Arteta, you did your thing. But as it stands right now, pre Arteta, and if it's up to me, if I have the final say and say, oh, prestige, will we should we send Rashford or not? I will say no because his mindset. I believe that mindset of a player is the most important asset a player can have.
Yeah,
Most important asset. And so, Kai has proven that he has the right mindset. He works hard for the team. So even when he was performing underwhelmingly for me, at least he had work rate.
yeah,
Rashford, I saw Ross Barkley run around Rashford. I've seen so many videos of people running around Rashford. Rashford is supposed to be defending.
he doesn't
He's
try.
not defending. He doesn't trap back. He does. No, nah, not for me. But he can change my mind. I'm open to my mind being changed, but not for me.
The ultimate reason why I don't think he would work and why I don't think we will sign him is because of not because of his age, but because of at that age you would be set in your ways by that time. Being in practice of something for so long, you would start behaving in a certain manner that anything else um, wouldn't be for you or wouldn't be how your game is supposed. So he would start. I can already see the problem where he would have to be in contention with Arteta over what he's supposed to be doing. So
Mm,
no, I don't think it would work. He would be one of those bullheaded players that Arteta wouldn't like. And I mean bullheaded in the sense that he's not willing to learn or change or behave in a certain way. Because we still have players in this squad that are um, very not individualistic but very strong personalities. I'm not saying that they're like the Abas, the Pepes, and the Lacazettes, the Guendouzi's. When I'm not saying like they're like that, Mustafi and such. I'm not saying they're like those people, but I'm saying there's the right type of strong mentality that Arteta is willing to work with. For instance, the Ramsdale.
mm,
Um, and by the way, I still think that Ramsdale is a place, but we'll get to that.
mm.
Yeah, I don't think he would be the type of strong mentality that he has wouldn't work here because it's not
Yeah.
his one type of strength.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like he's strong. His mentality is strong in the wrong way. He's strong in the stubborn way, and not in the humble learning way. And that, as Wolfgang is saying, remember the Jamaican proverb: "Can't bend the tree when it's old. Have to bend it from a young." And that's so
Mhm.
spot on. It's easier to train someone who is younger than someone who is older and set in their ways, as you rightly said, Bob. So yeah,
Yep.
I mean, but unfortunately, the way how you and I both explained Rashford, it seems like Rashford would be a logical choice, just based
Mm-hmm.
on the position he plays and just based on how much Manchester United would probably sell him for. But I really hope we're wrong, bro. I hope we're wrong. I hope Arteta doesn't touch Rashford at all. No diddly.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. And pause. But I hope Arteta doesn't go in that direction at all.
Yeah, I hope he just completely quashes it and said, no, there's been no communication. That's all
Yeah,
I need.
yeah. I'm looking forward to that, man. I really hope that's what happens, man. But all right. So we have covered the most popular ins, the transfer ins, potential ins. We have covered Isak, Guimaraes, Rashford. I mean. Also, people mentioned Martinez. Listen, Lautaro, sorry, Lautaro Martinez. I mean, I don't think there's anything in that, but I don't know if you want to bring up anything to mention that.
That's a loose rumor.
Yeah, I think it's a loose rumor as well. So we're gonna
Number
move on to the
one,
outs.
yeah, he's not leaving Inter, bro.
Yeah, I don't think he's leaving Inter either. So we're gonna move on to the outs. So all right, for the outs, this is a list that I was given based off Football London. Ramsdale, Partey, Tierney, Lokonga, though and Nketiah. Those were the names I was given. Also ESR. I saw ESR from a total different article that said ESR's or ESR is in contention of leaving as well.
And Nuno.
And and Nuno Tavares, yeah. So I just listed about 8 players. I mean, how are we gonna do this? Oh yes, and Nelson. I didn't say anything about Nelson, to be honest.
He's under contract, but he's under contract, he's still also possibly sellable under what the 4 year deal or 3 year deal that they gave him. So he has some transfer value. Um, so he's not safe.
Yeah. All the players we mentioned aren't safe, and to be honest, I think Zinchenko should be on that list. I must
Zinchenko
say
and
that,
Vieira.
and Vieira. Well, I will potentially. I think giving Vieira one more year would be good,
Yeah.
but that's just me. But I think Zinchenko for sure. I think he was underwhelming. I personally put him on a transfer market, on a transfer list. Sorry. But yeah, let's go one by one. Wolfgang, you can tell me who you'd want to sell. You know, Wolfgang, put a comment saying who you'd want to sell. So in the meantime, we're gonna discuss the rumors of who's likely to go and who not to go. Let's start off with Thomas Partey, because Fabrizio Romano 2 days ago said that Thomas Partey is in talks to leave Arsenal, and it's very likely for him to leave Arsenal. Whether we want it or not, that's a different story. But Fabrizio, really gets things wrong. So he said that Partey is likely to leave. What are your thoughts about that, Bob?
All right. I do believe that it is going to be the case that he's getting sold. He's going to be moving on. I do think so. The injuries is not a sustainable means of him being involved in the squad. Has shown that he's not his position is not sustainable, or his place is not sustainable. Waiting on a player for half a season or longer is not a sensible decision anymore. And the fast moving world of football, it's going to catch up to us. So we need to move on from him. All sentiment aside, obviously he's a great player. On his day, he is the G, Mister. What does Big Sis call him again?
Um, yeah. What does TT call him again? C Tornado. That's why you should be on this live stream. I'm loading you up, Big Sis. You should be on this live stream, but we move.
But yeah, something to do with how suave or silky he plays football. Basically, that right there is irreplaceable. In a sense, if he was always fit, he's irreplaceable.
Hmm.
but because of the fitness record, he's not invincible in terms of against the transfer chopping block. So I think he has to go. I think he will go. I think
Yeah.
Arsenal will move on and use those funds, reallocate them somewhere else. It will benefit the team. I think we can get a solid. At the worst, at the very worst, we'll get 25 to 30 for him.
Really, really,
At
big
very worst.
balance. You say that's the very worst. I actually disagree. I think that's the very most we're getting. Let me tell you why. Because Partey, remember, Partey is on the last year of his contract. He has one more year left, right?
Mhm.
That's number one. Number two, the whole of Europe knows he's injury prone, and also because of that, he doesn't really play much for us. He's no longer a first teamer for us. So because he's no longer a first teamer for us, he has one more year left in his contract, and he's injury prone. Him being at least 30, I think that's gonna be hard to sell him for 30. And plus, Arsenal was never known as a selling club. Remember that as well. Our highest sale value was Balogun, or was it Oxlade Chamberlain? I think Balogun for 40 mil.
It's
And
Balogun for 45, or it will be.
for, yeah, for 45, and then you have Iwobi, and then you have Oxlade Chamberlain. So we haven't really been known as as a selling clubs. I don't know, bro. I mean, maybe you're right, but I'm saying just due to those three things I brought up, I'm not sure if he'll be sold for a huge amount, like over 30 mil. It's hard for me to see that, but you never know.
Your
You never,
assessment.
but yeah, I think you're right. I think Thomas Partey will be gone this summer. It's unfortunate, but as some people say, availability is the best ability. So if he's not available, then how good can he really be for our team?
Yeah, it's
Because
a handful.
in any other profession, like for example, if I was hardly available for my job, then there'd be questions asked,
I'd
and
be fired. Yeah.
yeah, I'd be fired. So so that's how it really goes. So honestly, I mean, I'm sorry to say, but I think Thomas Partey being sold is like a 9 out of 10 possibility. I think he's gone. It's sad to say. I mean, thank you for everything, Thomas, but unfortunately, leaving.
Yep. So yeah, I think that's consensus that he should go. Um,
Yeah, um, yeah. Wolfgang, I'm not sure if you've seen anything different, bro, but I think Bob and I both agree that Thomas Partey is going to be gone. Um, but Bob, I want to hear about your opinion on Ramsdale. You mentioned earlier in the pod that Ramsdale has a place in your Arsenal squad. Expound on that, bro.
okay. Um, I think that Ramsdale should stay. I don't think he will stay, but I personally think he should stay. Reason being, it's all about um actually being serious going into the rest of the cups. Now, part of me says, okay, if he doesn't stay, then we just go get Justin Bilo from Feyenoord, and we have a Dutch goalkeeper as the second choice, which is actually a good player.
Yeah,
I'm saying he's not better than Ramsdale. He's in that same bracket. Um, but obviously, first a team like Ajax or Feyenoord or so would be like top six, top seven, top eight in England if you were to transplant them. So that's why that's where I'm thinking, of course. But Ramsdale in the cups and the other knockout stage. I'm not saying the Champions League per se, but there's places for him where we don't know if a difference in goalkeeper could have made a big difference in certain of the games that we lost. Um, Ramsdale wasn't involved in any of the Premier League losses. I don't think. I don't think he played against West Ham or
mm,
in either game against Aston Villa. I'm not sure how we
mm.
can check that, or if I can check that real quick. Give me a second.
Let me Let's check Ramsey real quick. There should be a way to check what matches he played in.
Oh no. He wasn't because he played 6 games. The 4 games at the start and
Yeah.
the 2 Brentford games. So he wasn't involved in any of the losses. He was involved with the draws, the
Oh,
draw with Tottenham and the draw with Fulham. He was involved in those 2 games. No. The Tottenham game, both Tottenham games was Raya. So it was just the Fulham game that Ramsdale was involved with.
So here it is, bro. We have he played Nottingham Forest, he played Palace, he played Fulham, he played United.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And then 2
then
Brentford games.
then he played a Brentford game, and of course he played the other Brentford game. So yeah, so basically he only drew once, and he won everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So the only draw he had was the Fulham draw. But then I suppose if I were to change it from Premier League to say, let's change it to
The Cups.
the cup. So let's go to EFL Cup, the Carabao Cup. Let's see. So he played Brentford, as we know. We won 1-0, and we lost 3-1 to West Ham.
In that West Ham game, everybody was horrible.
Yeah. So we can't really blame him for that. So I agree, we can't really blame him for that. So let's go to FA Cup now. For FA Cup,
Liverpool knocked us out, I believe.
Yeah, 2-0.
Mm-hmm. He played that game.
Yeah. So I mean, overall,
I don't remember us being that bad in that game. It's just a matter of how late were those goals, or what time were those goals scored?
Let's check.
Because I think that was in that same December Christmas period where we were struggling for fitness, we were struggling for creativity.
So Jakob Kiwior, 80 minutes, and then 95th minute, so 90 plus 5, Luis Diaz.
Yep. 2 very late goals. One was an own goal, probably involving fatigue and lack of concentration.
Yeah.
Or losing concentration, not really a lack of, it's more so because of the fatigue and the tiredness by that time. Yeah, it is a rough situation with Ramsdale. But like I said, we still do have a place for him. Remember, the problem is not his distribution. The problem is his on the ball skill. His decision making on the ball is just a problem, which of course can be detrimental.
Yeah, and it's lack of focus. Remember, in an interview with Ian Wright, he said that he couldn't focus for a whole 90 minutes, which I believe he shouldn't have said, but we moved.
Yeah, that wasn't something that you want to say out loud.
Yeah, like hearing he has possibly has some possibly attention deficit disorder. And as a keeper, you know, the most important position arguably on the pitch, and hearing that he's not able to keep his focus, and sometimes he has to, like, you know, do other things to keep himself occupied. I mean, that's not the best thing to hear. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, yeah, the part
and then
about
having his father coming out in a podcast, and I don't know, man.
I didn't appreciate his father speaking. So, yeah, it's a rough situation with Aaron, but I think he will go. I don't necessarily want him to go, but if he needs to go and there's a better option, then for the better situation for the player, because I want the best for him, and for the better situation of the club, as it comes to if Raya is tired, if Raya can't play certain games, what are we gonna do? Let's see. So if that player is Justin Bilo, who I think it may well be, that's fine with me. Be it Ramsdale and Raya or Raya and Bilo, I don't care. That is fine.
Mm.
And
Wolfgang, what you thinking, bro? Yeah, continue. Sorry, Bob. Sorry to interrupt.
no
I was
problem.
just saying, Wolfgang, what do you think about Ramsdale? You give us your thoughts, bro, in the comments. But yeah, sorry about that, Bob. Continue.
No, no, it's just generally speaking, another possibility because yes, we know that the loan for Raya was more so just to get on the FFP situation. Um, but it's still not, the deal is still not sealed, technically speaking. So anything could happen. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there's no problems with that situation. So that's still something that's there, but I think that's not really an issue. The second choice keeper will still be an issue though. Do we keep Ramsdale or do we get a new keeper and move Ramsdale on? Um, I think for the best, he might have to be moved on, but then you ask where, because as much as we say, oh, we don't want to see him at Chelsea, he would suit Chelsea very well.
Yeah, you would.
Unfortunately, yeah, he would.
Though I have a question to ask you, and this is in relation to Arteta and keepers. Raya, I believe, is the sixth keeper under Arteta, fifth or sixth. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Arteta has this knack of changing keepers. I mean, if we like, let's go through the keepers. We had
Okay,
um,
Leno,
so you have Leno, so that's one.
Damian Martinez,
Yep, Martinez,
Runnison 3,
Ronaldson. Yeah,
Matt Ryan 4,
four. Yep,
um, Ramsdale 5, and Ryan
Ramsdale
6.
and Raya. See, so I wasn't capping six. Yeah,
Yep.
six keepers in Mikel Arteta's tenure so far.
I mean,
Yeah,
to be fair,
2.5 years.
I'll give him 3 of the first 4, except for Martinez. I'll give him Leno, Runnison, and Matt Ryan, but not Martinez. I won't give him Martinez.
Okay, why wouldn't you give him Martinez?
Because at the time I do still think that Emmy was the better keeper over him or Leno. I think it was just a matter of bravery, or Arteta wasn't set in the job yet, where he believes he could make certain big decisions in terms of the shoes that he was wearing. Um, to really say, oh yeah, stamp down, I want this player to go because I don't think he can do the job for us. Or I think he's the better keeper than you, or I think I can work better with him versus you. I think that was the problem back then. Which I'm not saying that it's his fault, but ultimately, yes, you still need to be a bit more risky and brave and a bit more big chested when you're making certain decisions like that. So I don't think the Emi Martinez situation was handled well. I believe the Leno situation was handled well. He wanted to stay in London. We found a way. We even took a cut price for him. So that's the Arsenal class and family quality and such like that we still cherish and appreciate that, because we still got some money for Leno, so it's not a problem. We got 50% of the cash back, so it's not no issues. The rest of the keepers, Ryan, loan, free agent, don't care. Runnison, poor recommendation from one of the former coaches.
Poor. That was definitely.
Because ultimately that was not a scouting choice. That was a goalkeeper coach recommendation.
Yeah. Correct.
So it was not the best. It was just not the best. And ultimately, like I said, Leno was from the previous regimes. Because if I'm not mistaken, Leno was signed by Wenger.
Yes, that's correct.
So he's been here for a while. He was here for a while. Yeah. So it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think, okay, who do you think of those six keepers unbiasedly is the best keeper?
Mm. The best goalkeeper out of those six.
Hmm.
Um, in active play, Ramsdale. Dead ball situations, Martinez. And ball at the feet, Raya. So Ramsdale.
Okay, so you say Ramsdale. I actually say Martinez. I think Martinez overall, I think he's the best keeper. Not by much, but I feel like Martinez when it comes to
Oh
big
no no no.
situations.
I have to switch my answer now that I think about it. Dead ball situation, Ramsdale. Open play, Martinez. So yeah, I have to agree with you.
Yeah, I think Martinez was the best keeper we had, which is why I'm so to this day I'm still a little upset that yeah he's at Aston Villa. I think
Mm,
I think that was a wrong choice. I think we should have kept him and sold Leno, honestly. And I believe our keepers right now should actually be Raya and Martinez. Um, but with with all that said, I do still have a very soft spot for Ramsdale. I think he's quality as
mhm,
well. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, Martinez was the end all be all, and we messed it up. I
mhm,
still think Ramsdale really was integral to us, improving as a side. I think he helped evolve us, from fifth to
mhm.
second. He was, I think he was so important. So I have nothing but love for Ramsdale. Um, but I do believe Martinez, out of all the six keepers we had in Arteta's tenure, I believe Martinez overall, just
Mhm.
slightly, is the best keeper. And Wolfgang is saying Martinez was better at penalties. I so agree, and that's the next thing.
Yeah. When I
I
said dead ball, it was excluding the penalties. I meant like free kicks and corners and such. Over the corners and free kicks. I would say that Ramsdale would be better. Um, in terms of the dead ball situation, penalties, obviously, yeah, Martinez, we saw the World Cup and we saw the previous Copa America as well. The last two international trophies he got. Yeah, we know
yeah,
about Martinez.
yeah, exactly. So it's almost like ever since he left Arsenal,
And
I hate to
super.
say it, but he got even better. So it really kind of irks me, but I do believe that Martinez truly is overall, just slightly, is the best keeper in Arteta's tenure. But so you're saying, to go back to the point, Ramsdale. You're saying Ramsdale. You're saying you'd want Ramsdale to stay, but you think he's going.
Mhm. Yeah, I still think
Yeah,
he's good.
I still think he's going as well. I think he needs first team football, and we can't give him that because once Raya is fit, Raya will always play. Um, and we have seen it this season. I mean, at first there were rumors that, oh, we do what Deserby did,
Yeah, right.
rotate the two keepers, but that was false. There was a false narrative. That's once Raya came in, Raya really overwhelmingly became the first choice, and Ramsdale became the substitute keeper.
Yep. And
Uh,
everybody started to really see why.
yeah, at first, I'm not gonna lie, Raya wasn't really pulling up many trees. He wasn't really pulling up much trees, in my opinion, at first, because I
Why
mean,
was
I couldn't really
frustrating.
see much of a difference. Mm. Yeah, you go.
No, I was saying he was frustrating at the start.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, bro. I agree, spot on. Yeah, he was definitely frustrated at the start and everything. But so we hope Ramsdale stays, but we think he's going ultimately. So we're
Yep.
gonna move on to who should we move on to? Kivior. And that one kind of surprised me, but I actually think this Kivior rumor is because Kivior's agent is trying to push for Kivior to get a move because in the in the winter transfer window, there were the rumors that Kivior could leave as well. And that was
No,
because Kivior before the winter transfer window wasn't getting that many games, and then January
that's
after the bye that had changed. So then I don't know. Is it just because of his agent? Does Kivior want to go? Does he want to stay? Personally, I want him to stay. I think we played our best football with him in the team. Well, arguably, because Tomiyasu also we play our best football with Tomiyasu in the team as well. So
Yep.
it's arguable between those two.
Yeah, it's just when Zinchenko comes back in, everything goes to crap.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard to
Yep.
say, but yeah.
Just do a quick check for me. Both Villa games, who was the left back?
All right, let's check.
I already know that he was the left back for the Newcastle game because it was really early in the season. You don't have to tell me that one.
Man, I have a feeling the Zinchenko. Samson typing Zinchenko from now. I have a feeling Zinchenko. Honestly.
Yep, let's just check from the start of the season.
All right, let's see detailed performance stats, and we're gonna check for the Aston Villa game. Where is Aston Villa game
First
now?
round, 1-0 away.
1-0. Yep, he plays left back.
How long?
28 minutes.
So he was a sub.
So he was a sub. And then the
But
other
when was
one,
the goal?
other Villa.
No, but hold on. When was the goal scored?
Let's check this.
I think it was an early goal actually.
They scored. Oh yeah, John McGinn. Yeah, 4th minute.
Yeah, it was early, and they locked shop.
Yeah.
Okay, so I won't blame him on that one.
Yeah, so we can't
The
blame him for
second Villa
that.
game, we know what happened.
Yeah. Yep. So, like the other Villa game, we lost 2-0. He played 87 minutes.
Yep.
We know what's happened. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And the West Ham game,
West Ham, when we lost 2-0
at home.
at home. Yep. He played 64 minutes.
So he started.
Yeah, he started.
And goal time?
And goal time in that, let's check. 13 minutes and a 55th minute.
Okay, so he was on the pitch for both. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Still I won't blame him because we don't know. I don't remember the phase of play, but it's fine. It's fine. But last to Newcastle, the loss to Newcastle, which I can't blame him for that one, but I just want to know if he was involved in that game. Because ultimately we know why we lost. So it was because of, VAR.
Yeah, I remember. Where's that Newcastle match again?
Early, before the December period.
Oh,
it's like
no. He had calf problems. He was injured.
Okay, all right, fine. So it would have been probably Kivior at that point.
Probably.
Yeah.
But
okay. All right.
But even if we look at Zinchenko's stats, 27 appearances, 1 goal, 2 assists.
Not great.
That's not great because he's supposed to be the inverted fullback who's supposed to give us that extra playmaking ability, and there's only 2 assists. Nah, I'm sorry.
Really, it's not even the numbers. That's my problem. If you get a goal and 2 assists, it's great and all that. We consider you a starting left back who goes into that deep midfield role. But the problem is the accumulation of mistakes, the accumulation of errors leading to counters. It is the lapses in judgment, the annoying, lingering, and in a sense, fainted passes that he loves doing, where he just sits on the ball like it's not just play the most obvious pass. Whereas if you replace him with Jorginho in that same situation, Jorginho just makes the pass. So I'm like, what are you doing? It's a frustrating one with him.
Yeah. I mean, I personally want him sold. Will Arteta sell him?
It's possible, but it also depends on how they figure out the situation in midfield.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I think. I mean, granted, if they told me that Zinchenko is going to move into midfield permanently, then I'd
That's
say
fine.
I'd say give him one more year to prove himself in midfield. But because Arteta, I doubt Arteta's going to play him in midfield.
Hmm.
I think he has to go, man. Honestly, but
Uh,
how likely do you think how likely do you think he'll be sold? In your opinion?
um, Zinchenko is a solid. I'm gonna say this because of his versatility. It's only a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I was thinking 6 or 10 too.
All right,
Yeah, I think so too,
fair
man.
enough. Fair enough.
I mean, okay, so we covered Zinchenko. Well, Wolfgang is saying move Zink to mid, no defending for him. Well, the thing is, technically, no player from Arsenal can go without defending. Can we defend as a team? But I know what you mean. No defensive rule for him in terms of like not in the back line. I agree. But if Zinchenko was supposed to play in our midfield, like I think he'd play as our left eight. More than likely, he'd play as our left eight. Am I wrong or am I right? Because Zinchenko can't play as our CDM. I don't
No,
think so. So he'd be our left eight. He'd have to be our
yeah,
left
he
eight.
has to be the eight. But then my problem is that it puts somewhat of a limitation on what Rice can do. In terms of the freedom
Yeah.
roles that he can play. So I don't really want to keep Zinchenko. He still has valuation. So personally, I think we should move him on. I think we've outgrown him.
Yeah, I think we have evolved past him. I agree with you. So you're spot on, bro. So Zinchenko, we want him to go, but it's basically a 6 out of 10 for likeliness.
Yeah.
So yeah, um, let's move on to this other person now. Who there are rumors that he's gonna leave, but they're not concrete as yet. Eddie Nketiah.
Long time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Eddie Nketiah, I'm sorry. I don't know why we gave him the number 14. I believe we should have retired that number from
Hmm.
Henri left. Honestly, we
I
should have
believe
retired the number.
right after once Theo Walcott got it, I was like,
Yeah,
okay, Theo did all right. I mean,
yeah. He scored over 100 goals for Arsenal. So
he did his thing. Didn't really disgrace it or anything like that. Even though in our worst games in those periods of time, Theo was the bright spark in the team. So I don't have a problem after Henry. It's more so he in a sense fills the boots to a certain degree.
hmm,
Obviously not to the he's a completely different player. Thierry's Thierry's not a complete speedster versus Walcott who is.
hmm.
Um, so two different types of players. Um, yeah, I think Eddie got a bit too much um, expectation put on his shoulders,
Hmm.
and I'm talking about from the point where he broke through to now. So I think that
Yeah,
might be part of the problem. There shouldn't be any sort of sentiment attached to him for most people because he looks like he plays like he's made it, and it annoys me.
yeah,
Personally
yeah.
speaking.
You're so right, man. He plays like he's already made it, and he doesn't have much of a hunger, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I think he needs to realize that. Guess what? He isn't up to par as yet. I'm at fact. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't he like 25 now?
Eddie Nketiah, he's approaching
Yes.
25.
Yes, he's approaching 25, so he's basically mid 20s.
Yep,
This
and
guy,
he's still not started up.
exactly. This guy still has not. I mean, he has only scored 5 Prem goals this season, and 3 of them were in one match against Sheffield United, which was one of the worst teams ever in Premier League
Yep,
history.
yep.
So I mean, come on, no, this guy is not good enough. He should be sold. A matter of fact, we should have sold him to Crystal Palace when we had a chance to. I think Crystal Palace are still interested in him for some reason. But I mean,
I
thankfully,
mean, he better at this point he better hope that Palace is interested because Mateta at the end of the season just decided to turn into some monster.
yeah.
I don't even know. Hmm.
So, do we think
But
finally this is his last season? Honestly,
this is his last window.
so he's leaving.
Yeah,
All right, there you heard it. You heard it here, folks.
and it
Eddie
won't be in
is
the
leaving.
severance package either.
Yeah, I think he's gone as well. He should be. Surely Arteta must realize that. I mean, the amount of matches where we needed a clinical finisher. The amount of matches I've seen Eddie Nketiah come off the bench and do absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
I'm fed up. I'm fed up. Honestly, I'm fed up with him. I want him gone. Thank you for the 7 seasons, 6 seasons you have played. I think enough is enough.
Yep.
Enough is enough. Yeah, I'm pretty much done. So to the texture of Eddie Nketiah, that's pretty straightforward. Reese Nelson is pretty much the same for me. Not, I mean, I'm not as that upset with him compared to Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah, no, Reese is more so just
Yeah,
he's in a very stacked team,
yeah,
and he's not the massive step down I really think he is because ultimately he kept us in the title race up to a respectable point. So he can show up in big games or big moments. Not really a big game, but big moments. He can do that. That's not Reese's problem. Reese's problem is that he doesn't shine as bright as everybody else around him.
yeah. I agree with you, man. I think Reese
So,
has potential. Is just the manager doesn't trust him.
mm-mm.
Manager doesn't trust him, and I understand why. Because Nelson plays things too safe. Like he's the kind of winger that he'll run occasionally at a defender, but most times he'll just run down the byline and then pass it back. Runs on the byline, pass it back. Doesn't really give us much end product. He just passes it back into midfield,
Yep.
and that isn't that's just too safe for my liking, man. I need a winger who will kill a defender and try to take a shot at goal.
And try
And
to
Nelson
find
to
the
me,
overlap opportunity.
exactly. So I'm sorry. Again, Nelson, I'm sorry, man. I think his time is done.
Yep.
No, for ESR guys, like what we're saying about ESR. I mean, ESR is a very I'm conflicted personally about ESR. I'm
Oh,
conflicted, man. Like, what are you thinking, Bob?
all right. So Emil, oh boy, I say for one more season he can be here and he could do something for this club. I'm not sure what role he would play. That's the problem. Um, because we think, okay, he could be an option to rest Odegaard, but his creative numbers aren't showing us that he is that type of player. He's more so like how Rice is now, which is another problem because even if we have Rice at the six, we can put Havertz there. And if we were say, okay, we put Havertz up top and Rice at the six, our best option is never really ESR at the left eight. It's Jorginho or somebody that goes into the six and pushes Rice forward.
Mm,
So then that stems into the problem: do we buy a six or do we buy a eight? So it's a lot with ESR,
yeah.
but I think he can stay, and I think he can play like in a similar position where Kai is. So yeah, it is possible for us to hold on to ESR.
Well, just to clarify, what do you mean, like where Kai plays? Do you mean when Kai goes into midfield?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I just want to clarify that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I feel like ESR plays best when he's making a late run into the box, because most of his goals in that breakthrough season he had, when he had all those goals, like I think he had like what 12 goals in all competitions or something, or even or maybe even more. Maybe I'm wrong.
Around that
But
number, yeah.
yeah, he had a whole bunch of goals, and he was just there running late and scoring and scoring. I feel like that's the kind of midfielder that actually we kind of needed when we couldn't break through some
Yep.
of these defenses. We need to have some midfielders that running on a ball and just kick it in.
Yep. And another thing is his partnership. His partnership with Martinelli in that season was phenomenal because, of course, that was like season one Martinelli, but the partnership was just sublime in my eyes. It was just two players that were just a perfect like duo on that left hand
Yeah,
side. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Wolfgang is saying, did Bob just say Kai in midfield?
Listen, man, I know it's a cardinal sin, but I'm just making reference to it. All right, cool.
Yeah, he just making reference to it. Kai and midfield don't go hand in hand. Though.
Said never again. Don't try
Never
that.
again. I agree. I agree with that, man. Kai and midfield, nah. Kai is a forward. We'll keep him as a forward. It's all good.
Here's my
Um,
thing, though.
mm,
In terms of certain games, I'm going to use the Crystal Palace game from last season where Tommy got the red card for second hand time wasting.
yeah, yeah,
um, yeah, the the strategy that Mikel went basically there was one player left on the pitch that was a forward and it was Kai up top. If it's the case that we sign a striker, we can do this exact same thing if we're defending a 1-0 to run out the clock. Yeah, we can do it. Have Kaya in the midfield as like a six block, 3-6, what 3-6-1 or something of the sort. And
yeah.
but let's hope that we don't have any situations where we have to play such a defensive formation.
Mm,
But yeah, ESR can still have a role in this team, but it will be a very free role in midfield and attack, whereas he would probably be tasked with coming out for anybody who isn't a defensive midfielder or a
mm.
centre back or a fullback. So let's see.
So Wolfgang are gimmicks though. Wolfgang are gimmicks. Wolfgang are say, yo, Kai can go left or right back, not midfield. Yo, you must think a German is this, bro. You must think a German is this, but left back. It's you too, man.
Even that was an
But
experiment by the Germans.
the Germans, I mean, he scored from left back still. So you know what? I'll put my hand
Yeah,
up.
but
I'll put my hand
and
up, Wolfgang.
he also conceded a goal on his side. So
Yeah, he has to concede a goal. So Kai in left back sounds like Zinchenko. So we don't know about that, bro.
no, I'm gonna tell you this right now. That one game he played for Germany at left back, and everybody was just like, "Why them giving Arteta ideas?" I'm like, bro, seriously though, it could have worked better than like a Zinchenko in the current image of the team. But uh,
Wow. Zinni, if you're having Bob say that Kai will be a better left back than you, you definitely need to be sold, bro. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. That's actually crazy, man. Man, that's kind of crazy. But guys, we're moving on to the last part of this pod. I know when talk about the man himself, Mikel Arteta.
uh-huh.
And the first thing I want to mention is that he won best best Premier League manager at the Dubai Global Soccer Awards, which I mean they aren't really the most credible award ceremony if we're all being honest, but still it's good to see that our manager being recognized for his efforts. So congratulations to Mikel Arteta. I'm not going to lie. When I saw that he won, I was kind of surprised because I was like, I thought Pep would have won the best Premier League manager.
Yeah,
I thought so. I was
but
kind of confused. I
I
don't
think
know.
this award might be based off like who's watching and not who's managing in terms of the votes.
Oh, mm.
Yeah. So our team probably was a much better team to watch.
Oh, got you. Well, yeah, I guess that makes more sense because some of the awards that were given out, I was kind of confused at some of the winners. But I mean, congrats to Mikel Arteta the same way because at the end of the day, I'm glad that he got recognized for his efforts despite us not really having a very successful season.
Right.
So, huh, you know what question I'm going to ask you next, bro?
Yeah.
You know what question I'm going to ask you next? So,
Fire
a
away.
certain team, a certain team, Red Part of Manchester, they won the FA Cup.
Oh boy.
Um, yeah, they won the FA Cup. Um, against all odds, most people thought they were going to lose against City. People thought that City was going to get the double. It wasn't to be. Manchester United won.
Uh-huh.
As soon as the full time whistle went, I got calls, I kid you not, from 5 different Manchester United fans. And they were all saying, oh, we had a better season than Arsenal. We won. We won a trophy. We had a better season than Arsenal. We won a trophy. Now, my question to you is, Bob, is that so? Did Manchester United have a better season than Arsenal?
No. Just no.
Expound.
Okay.
Expound.
I would love not to have to expound, but I will try. Um, yes, the whole notion of trophies are a landmark to indicate, in a sense, some sort of success, right? And ends to a means. However, we also have to look at the sustainability aspect. Them winning that trophy doesn't fix their club. Whereas us getting another second place finish, I'm just comparing things. Don't kill me here, people. Us getting back to back second place finishes is still seen as remarkable progress in terms of getting the club into a certain state. Obviously, we could bring up the money, but that doesn't really affect us watching the players play. I'm talking about the finances being better for the club, which in turn makes sure that we can recruit better and such. But part of me wants to say that they had a better season because they had a trophy attached and they still qualified for Europe through that trophy. And because of the weight of the trophy, they went straight to Europa League, which is also something to consider. I want to say no, they didn't have a better season, but I have to be honest. Um, it's really balanced. It is a really balanced decision, and I will stand on the fence for this one. I'm going to have to stay on the fence for this one. I can't say we had a better season. They had a better season. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I cannot do it. It hurts me. It hurts me. I cannot bring myself to do it. So I'm gonna be in the.
You're gonna put it right down the middle, bro, and you're gonna say that you're neutral on this matter.
Yep.
um, I think they did. I have to be honest. I think they did have a better season overall. I think no matter how I try to phrase it in my head, the you know the whole point of elite football is to win trophies, and at the end of the day, people will remember the winners and not people who have just progressed. Because many a time I've seen Tottenham, come second on the patch. I think they came second twice on the patch, and I mean, we were there winning FA Cups, and I thought and at that time, I thought we had better seasons than them. So I have to be fair. I have to be fair. Like,
yeah. Okay, when you put it that way, then yeah, I have to be
yeah,
fair because at that point in time, United wasn't winning anything, and Tottenham wasn't winning anything. It was all Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City.
Yeah,
and of
yeah,
course the Leicester season. Um,
exactly.
so I have to be honest. Yeah, I have to be honest as well and say, yeah, they had a better season
Yeah, and
with the trophy and the weight of the trophy as well. They had a better season.
yeah, and what really annoyed me is that there's no one FA Cup behind us, and that
Yeah,
really the wrong way because the FA Cup is our trophy, which is why I need Arteta to take the FA Cup seriously next season. Please, Arteta, stop wasting these domestic cups, bro. Please, I am begging you.
yep.
Please, I
I would
want another
like
FA Cup.
to.
I want the Prem.
My ideal thing was to get an English quadruple, but we're not going to play Community Shield. So I would love the dream at the end of next season to have an English treble. So at the
Yep,
very least, bro, um, get back to the quarterfinals of the Champions League and an English treble.
that would be amazing. That would be amazing. It's very hard to do, but that would be truly amazing. And especially against Pep, I want to put Pep in his place. I am
In
tired
the
of
final season.
these of the yeah, trust me, I'm tired. I'm tired of these guys, man. I want us to mess up Pep's final season, just like how Klopp's final season got messed up. Even though I don't hate Klopp, just from a rival's point of view, I was slightly happy that Klopp's final season was ruined, just slightly. I still rate Klopp, but I kinda like when to kind of banter my rivals. So I was able to banter some Liverpool fans a little bit, so I felt kind of good about that. But ultimately, I
Yep.
mean, Manchester United fans coming to me and say they had a better season. It was hard for me to defend. I mean, even though I agree with you, I think long term Arsenal is in a better position. Because it's more being second twice is it shows more growth and more consistency than a team that won a Carabao Cup and finished or they finished fifth, and then they finished eighth this time, but with an FA
Yep.
Cup.
Third in the Carabao Cup, and then
Yeah,
this
yeah,
season
third in the
eighth,
Carabao Cup. I know eighth.
eighth,
Yeah,
eighth, and highway robbery to get into the Europa League, basically.
exactly. So, but then I remember the times when Arsenal finished eighth and they won the FA Cup under Arteta. And I said, we had a better season than the team that came. What team came second in that year again?
It would be Liverpool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it was Liverpool. But didn't Liverpool win something in that city? I think Liverpool won a trophy
It
in
might
that
have
season.
been that season of the Champions League.
Oh, so okay.
Or
Whenever the better season than Liverpool,
before that.
definitely not.
No. No. That was the league season that
Oh,
Liverpool
they won
won.
the league. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So,
won the Champions League before COVID.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah. So unfortunately, and even Wolfgang agrees, yeah, Manchester United had a better season, but in the in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to consistency, I believe that Manchester United just papered over the cracks, similarly to how Arsenal papered over the cracks when we were finishing eighth and eighth. The FA Cup really papered over the cracks for us as well. Because we weren't
Yeah.
a good side. We weren't a good side that time. I mean, no, we definitely weren't. But yeah, you heard it. You heard from us, Manchester United fans. I hope you're happy. Hope you're happy. We're unbiased, but
That's right.
yeah,
I really tried.
I know, bro. I know it's tough. It's tough. Like like when Bob saw like the list of things that we were going to talk about, and Bob saw that, he was like, "Please, let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about that." And I wanted to avoid it as well, but congrats to United.
Yeah.
You guys,
At
you
the
guys
very
saved your
least,
season.
at the very least, there was an complete English dominance across all trophies between City and Liverpool, but it was just the wrong team. They should have lost to Coventry.
Yeah, I'd love if Coventry could have won that FA Cup. I mean, that would have
It would be
definitely
a
been
perfect fairy
a
tale.
huge W for
It's
football.
exactly what I
Huge W
wanted.
for football. Yeah, I wanted that too, man, but it wasn't to be. So
Imagine
we're moving on.
Coventry
No,
wins the FA Cup, doesn't qualify for the Premier League, plays the Community Shield, and then goes back to the Championship.
Man, that'd be crazy.
Oh man.
So, bro, Arteta is supposedly gonna get a new contract. He's in talks to get a new contract. That's the biggest news I'd say in the rumor mill right now. Apparently, some people are saying he's gonna get an extra. He's gonna get 3 years. Some people say he's gonna get 4 years. It's not confirmed yet, but they said that he's gonna be the highest paid Arsenal manager of all time, and he will be one of the highest paid managers in the world, being close to Pep's salary of 20 million per year. No,
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but personally,
Hmm.
I wouldn't renew his contract. And I know this is a very controversial take. I know a lot of Arsenal fans are like, "What are you talking about, Brian? What are you talking about, prestige?" Here's the thing. Just hear me out first.
Yep. Yep.
Granted, his current contract is supposed to expire in 2025, right?
Yep.
So say he actually is on track to win something next season, then I think we can renew it. But then us just renew this contract before he does anything. He has only won one trophy, one significant trophy in the 4.5 years he has been here. And I mean, yes, second place is great. It is great, don't get me wrong. The journey has been good, but also heartbreaking. I still think
Yep.
we should be a little just cautious with it because we don't know, with no offense to Arteta, if he's going to be or Jurgen Klopp or he's actually or Brendan Rodgers. We don't know. We don't know for sure. As much as we think, as much as we all believe Arteta is a tactical genius, and I know he is, but if in the end of the day he can't get it over the line, then us renewing this contract is, I think, premature. I
Yep.
think it's premature
But
because he hasn't he hasn't proven to us fully that he can get over the line. And I want him to actually prove to me that he can get over the line. At least get us another FA Cup. At least. But to say that, you know, no trophies in how long now? I mean, I don't know, man. I think that's kind of premature. And also paying him almost as much as Pep. If that is true, I think that's even a bigger mistake because Pep has won several trophies. So I understand why he gets paid 20 million per year. I'm hearing that Arteta is going to be paid 16 million per year.
It's
As
it's about 10. It's about 10 to
well,
15.
okay, 10 to 15. That sounds a little better because right now he's on 8.5, I think. He's on
Mm-hmm.
8.5 per year, which isn't too bad. I think that's how much Wenger was getting. So, I mean, even though then again, that's kind of crazy because Wenger is our most successful manager of all time. So giving Arteta that money, that's kind of crazy. But
I mean,
inflation, so
the inflation.
fine. So fine, fine. I mean, no problem there.
And at the end of
But
the day,
I
you
mean,
can't give him less money than what you gave Emery.
that's true. That's true, and I agree with that as well. So I don't know. I think giving 10 million is fine, but more than that for not winning anything apart from FA Cup, I don't know, man. That's too premature, man. I don't know. I don't know what you guys feel. Let's see what Wolfgang is saying. He says sign for one more year, and if he wins, there'll be a clause extended for a further 2 years. You know, I agree with that. I actually
Okay,
agree with that.
that
So
is
you're
doable.
saying, yeah, that is doable. But the thing is, would Arteta agree to that? That's the next thing. Because Arteta, most managers like security. They like knowing that, oh, I'll be here for the next 3 years. I've been here for the next 4 years. Now, what you're basically telling him is that he only has one more year extra. So you only have 2 more seasons you're basically giving him, Wolfgang. And will Arteta agree to that? I don't know. Because he also has to look out for his own for, he's an employee, so he has to look out for his own livelihood. Because he wants security, he wants to know that, I have this job for a long period of time. So it's a balancing act for sure.
Yep.
Um, so I don't know, Bob. What are you thinking, bro?
Okay. I mean, I see you with all 8 points and such. I fully understand the problem or the perspective. Personally, I don't have a problem with him getting the contract renewal for, I think it's what normally regular thing 3 years probably, right?
Yeah,
Which is a full cycle. Let's just say that
correct.
he's just getting another full cycle. So he has, if he signs it now, he has 4 years on his deal.
Hmm.
Um, I have no problem with that. My problem will lie is if this is in a sense a like a preemptive incentive for him to go ahead and take it home. Stop the tinkering, stop all of this, leave the experimentation in the winter break and in the summer, right?
Hmm.
Figure out your three main plans, your four, your five, your six main plans, game plans, and styles of play prior to the first 10 games of the season ending.
Hmm.
Sort that out before the first 3 games of the UCL done. You see me?
Yeah.
So you have 4 UCL games to go. You already figure out your style of play. So even if we were to lose the first opening two UCL games, obviously next season it's not going to be that case. It's going to what I think. I think it's like a whole lot, almost like 16 games or something like that in the group stages. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, what you're playing in 9 team brackets or something like so. You're playing eight
Yeah,
other teams.
yeah. I mean, I have to be really clear, bro. I haven't really read the new new formats as yet, but I definitely need to.
It's much longer.
Yeah, it is.
Even if you're just playing 8 solid games, you're already playing 2 more games. So that's 2 more games in the legs,
Yeah,
right? And if
yeah,
you do
correct.
not qualify in that top 9, it means you have to play even more football. So it is rough. It's going to be rough. Um, my issue, like I said, doesn't lie with the length of the contract. It's not the money, because to me, he's not earning more than the highest paid player.
Hmm.
I would even say that I would rather he gets more money than somebody like Jesus in terms of the
Yeah,
impact he's had on the club and on the players at the club versus for the amount of money and transfer fee that we paid for Jesus. What we've gotten back is not the greatest return. It's not abysmal, but we could have gotten better. So Arteta's value goes beyond the trophies, considering where we were coming from when he took on the role. So I'll give him
so
that. Um, Additionally, I do have a hypothetical.
hmm.
All right. Let's say that we eradicate those 2 losses to Villa, and let's turn the 2 Villa games into 2 points, a point each, right? Let's be
Yeah,
realistic about it, considering what happened this season. We're going to turn each Villa game into a point. So that's 2 extra points to the 81, 89.
to the
And
89 brings us to 91. Yeah,
already we are equal with the winning points.
correct.
And I hope that's not the case, that we stop there, because that will probably land us becoming a third a third successive second place team to the same Manchester City. So we're going to get into the Liverpool cycle. So I hope at the very least we get those 2 extra points. But Arteta saying that they're aiming for over 90 points. So that means 91 points would be the benchmark next season, is
Correct.
what it sounds like to me. What was the winning total is the minimum total, is what, well, sounds like what our coach wants.
Yeah.
We take away that early loss to Newcastle. That's an additional, I will say, 3 points.
Hmm.
And that's already 94, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then finally, that first game, the loss to West Ham. I won't take away the Fulham draw or the Spurs draw. I won't take away those. Definitely not. Or any of
Mm.
the other games that we might have drawn because we drew five and lost five, correct? And
Correct.
won 28. 28, 5 and 5.
Yeah.
I won't take away the other draws. Um, definitely won't take away the Liverpool one because it was a much better performance at Anfield than it was the previous season where we capitulated in once we were in the lead.
Yeah.
So adding that West Ham game, we could get 94 to 97 or 98 points next season. Is a
Mm.
hope. It's a hope,
Yeah.
but let's see. Let us see.
I have a question though, Bob. Like, how much time would how much more time would he give Arteta, assuming he wins nothing? Assuming he comes second again. So suppose he has a replica of this season, next season. He comes
So
second.
basically, we come second
Exactly.
with
Like
91 points,
we come second with 91 points, and we're still
and we lose the
second,
league
but
by one.
we win absolutely no we win absolutely no domestic trophies. So no Carabao, no FA Cup, and we won no international trophy like the Champions League. We won none of those, and we came second in the Premier League.
Okay.
What, how much more time do you give Arteta to continuously not win any major honors?
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say this, right? Using that example. So
Mm.
because of the last two seasons, we lost the league by 5 points to a team that won it with 89 points.
Yeah.
Then we lost the league by 2 points with 89 points on the board, the
Mm.
previous season's winning total, to a team that set it to 91. If we lose the season next season by 1 point or goal difference, 91 to 92 or something like that, on the final day or within the last few game weeks, um, like I said, we turned those two losses against Villa into draws. Um, I at that point, I will look at it this way. I will not say you're getting fired. I'm not. I'm. What I will say is he doesn't win any of the trophies. Got it, and we only get up to the quarterfinals, right? Same. Let's say the same result in
Yeah.
Germany, the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
I will say this. At that point, it's an ultimatum that he must win the Premier League and at least one or two domestic cups in the following season. Reason being, Pep is gone and Klopp is gone.
Mm.
So if we lose the league next season,
Mm.
25-26, there are absolutely no excuses. And if he is in a position, and I don't believe in 25-26, he'll be in a position where we'll be third or fourth, far off it by March, April.
Mm.
I am thinking if he bottles the league 25-26 in 2025-2026, if anybody's confused on what I'm saying there,
Mm.
fire him. So basically, I'm giving him 2 seasons.
I got you. I got you. And for me, I'm giving him 4 chances. What I mean by that is he has 4 cups to play for next season.
Mhm.
I expect to win at least one of them.
Yeah.
So I'm giving him one more season technically because for me, I'm tired of giving context. I'm tired of I think this will now make it what 5 seasons.
He's ended 5 seasons. Yes.
So then I think this extra season should be it because surely he can win one of these domestic cups. Because I'm not having this excuse about we can't beat Pep. But people were saying we can't beat Pep. I'm not having it. Manchester United beat Pep. Eric Ten Hag is not a better manager than Arteta. He's not.
He's not.
So in that, so in
And
that
by the
respect,
way,
mhm.
the whole we can't beat Pep situation. It's not that we can't beat Pep. It's the games that we lost. By the way, just to make it very clear,
Hmm.
the I believe the difference will be those two home games that we lost that City didn't lose. City lost no games at home. That's 6 points that we lost at home,
Yeah,
right? And I think
yeah,
that will be the difference next season. So that's where the number 90 or 94, 95 comes in terms of
hmm,
my prediction. Just to put some context behind that. So me saying 94 points or 95 points is backed by that right there to say next season the difference will be who keeps it tight at home, basically.
yeah. So we have to basically replicate the Etihad form at the Emirates.
Yes. So no more losses at home. Next season, it has to be an actual fortress.
Yeah,
We can draw,
I agree with
keep the draws to a minimum, but we
that.
cannot lose at the Emirates next season.
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree. And
And
just,
that will be enough.
oh, you think that'll actually be enough?
Yep. Just get over the line. The two losses at the Emirates, 2-0 to West Ham, 2-0 to Villa. That's all you need to fix.
Hmm.
And then in addition to that, fix the 1-0 loss to Newcastle, and you've definitely won the league. So that's where I say the league is run 94 to 98 points, roughly.
Hmm. I mean, that's a very tough ask for any team, and that's just the levels that we have to go to just to be this Pep
Yep.
Guardiola team. This just shows how amazing Pep Guardiola is with his team. That's just crazy. That we have to really aim
And
for.
it would also show how amazing, unfortunately, it will show how amazing of a runner up Arteta
Yeah,
would
we
be
are.
if he was to
Yeah,
go ahead and get 94 to 98 points and still lose to Pep. That would be
yeah,
painful.
yeah. And I know that I'm being a little bit. I know I'm being harsher than Bob because Bob is saying 2 more seasons. I'm saying next season is his last season for me personally. And that's really because I think in I really want him to beat Pep. I want him to beat Pep. I need him to beat Pep. And a matter of fact, he doesn't even need to necessarily win the Premier League, Because if he wins the Carabao Cup, I'm fine. If he wins the FA Cup, I'm fine. So even if he wins a domestic cup, at least just give me a trophy, give me something to celebrate. I cannot have a repeat of this season next season. I cannot do it, bro. I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I cannot do it, man. That is just
I
too
understand.
many times, man. It's tough, man. It's tough. Wolfgang is saying Arteta needs to stop running experiments at the wrong time. Oh man, you're preaching, bro. You're preaching. That is so true. Because one of the Aston Villa, I think the second Aston Villa game, he played Kai in midfield. Why?
Hmm.
Why? You're playing Kai for the last 6 or 7 matches in forward, and we were winning. He's like,
That's not
no,
the
let's
problem, though. You play Kai in
let's
midfield
play.
with with the expectation that Kai will roam and do what he normally does, and the left back that's in place is not Jakub Kivior or uh Tomiyasu, who's going to sit in a third centre back spot and wait. He is going to go into that. Do you realize how far right and way up the pitch Zinchenko drifts?
Yeah, he does.
He becomes a right mid at certain points in the game, and it is actually really annoying.
Yeah,
Trust me.
yeah. You're right. You're right. Well, Wolfgang is saying, Bob, tell him to do it. Why you do it, Bob? It looks like you told Arteta, bro. You told Arteta to mess up the tactics. Oh man.
Oh man.
Bob the tactician, man, Arteta's assistant.
Yeah, the shadow assistant.
Shadow assistant, man. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Wolfgang's saying 2 more years. You're saying 2 more seasons as well. I'm saying 1 more season. And to be honest, I understand why you guys are saying two because if Pep leaves, then he has the best chance ever in 2 seasons' time to win. My thing is,
I want that
like, my thing,
sentimental victory over Pep.
yeah, I really want that, and
That
I don't
statement
think I can
victory.
deal with like I mean, at this point, I'm not accepting any excuses not to win a domestic cup because I mean, come on now,
He has to win one.
Coventry, Coventry got semi-finals that we couldn't.
My problem is always this, right? I always say, ever since Arteta came in, whoever beats us in the cup needs to go win the competition, and they never do. That upsets me.
Exactly.
I always say this in anything, be it international football or club football. Whoever beats my team needs to go win the competition. So I'm glad that Argentina, technically, I'm glad that
Yeah,
Argentina won the World Cup. I'm
yeah. So
also
we so,
not
so we can
because,
actually, yeah,
yeah, I can say I was the difference between them and the semis. You know, I
yeah,
could actually say that because we took them all the way up to pens.
yeah. We did.
All the ref was tampering with the game, but we can't really say he wasn't tampering both ways, so it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's the same with Arsenal. I'm saying if you get past us, go win the competition. I'm not saying we're the end all be all, but we are the FA Cup holders in terms of the count. So I'm saying we are the kingpin in the FA Cup by numbers. Go win the competition if you beat us. You better.
yeah. I agree.
And
I agree.
For- Nottingham Forest twice. West Ham didn't do it.
Yeah,
Liverpool didn't do it. Bro.
yeah. We need surely, man. We need to win one of those trophies, and I'm glad Wolfgang backs up what I'm saying, man. No excuses at all. Because surely you are an elite manager. You're an elite tactician. Surely you can win us one of the domestic cups. Come on, man. Even if you don't win us the Prem, you see if we come second and he wins us an FA Cup, congratulations. Congratulations. I love
Correction. If you come second with the points tally I mentioned and wins an FA Cup, I'm okay with it.
you know, I agree with you, but at the same time, I wouldn't be that vexed with in terms of like if we're like all 6 points behind, I wouldn't be that vexed if we won the FA
No,
Cup.
no, 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 Brian, no, no. That's too much, bro. 6 points? No, that is not
No,
improvement. I'm
no,
sorry.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that. That's what I would want. Like, ideally, I'd want it to be
You're
like,
saying that the cup is more important than how well we finished second.
yeah. But that would, but then I have to say that because I literally said Manchester United had a more successful season than Arsenal. So if I said anything otherwise, then then I can't say that, could I?
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean,
Yeah,
ultimately, at the end of the day, there was something said last season because when United found their way, I was even surprised. Like, how these men end up third? I'm like, and I was saying, oh yeah, I finished second. I feel just years ahead of you. Everybody's just all of my high school friends are like, bro, it doesn't matter. We're both going to the same Champions League part two, so it don't matter. I'm like, you're right.
exactly. Exactly, exactly. And we performed a lot better. Like the distance between second and third was huge. But guess what? Manu, Champions League. Arsenal, also Champions League. Manu, Carabao Cup. Arsenal, no domestic cup. So it's like that's why when so Manu fans 2 years running have bantered us. 2 years running, and I mean, and see, Wolfgang really sums it up. We need a trophy. Workless Manu can, but we can't. And I agree with that 10,000%, bro. That is crazy. Manu finished, I think, about 30 points behind us in the league. 30 points.
Our goal difference was better than their top points tally.
That just goes to show our goal difference is better than the points tally. That team is not good. That team is not good. And they won an FA Cup against Pep. That's why I was fuming.
You need to
I'd be
know
fuming
Arteta needs to learn how to coach those one-off games.
but the thing is what's really strange to me, Bob. What's really strange is that he used to be good with the cups because
You,
that's how he started off. That's what gave him the leeway in the first place. He won the FA Cup, so we're like,
Mhm.
yo, he's very good at winning the cup. So we're like, yeah, he takes it seriously. No, he doesn't take the cup seriously. No, like, come on, man. The cup is what gave you such a long period of time in the job.
Yeah,
'Cause-
but ultimately, on the priority of what you're taking seriously, that's Arteta. That means
yeah,
I have to look at it and say, ultimately, even if, let's say, in those seasons, um, that Arsenal came eighth, fifth, and the previous season second, right? The first,
Mm.
second. If we won the FA Cup or a League Cup in along with a Community Shield or one of those in each of those seasons, right?
yeah,
But those were the finishes, bar the second place, because with a trophy and second place, it wouldn't be so bad. But the eighth, and fifth, by the third season, everybody would be like, okay, but you're kind of improve. We can see the improvement. The team is growing. Can we push for title challenges now? People would still start asking questions. Is what I'm saying.
I agree.
So we cannot be pleased 100%. We want ideals, but we're not willing to. We're not always willing as fans or
Mm.
viewers or whatever you want to call it, spectators,
Yeah,
to allow the coach to choose his priorities. We sometimes we don't like to see it, especially when it's told to us what's going on or shown to us
yeah,
evidently what's happening here. Um, our bread and butter, our the one thing across all sorts of English football that we hold is the FA Cup tally count, and I do not appreciate the fact that United got their 13th before we
yeah.
got our
13. Yeah,
so they're one behind. Yeah, we need to win the FA Cup at the very least next season and come second. That's the minimum requirement for me. FA Cup in second place.
I agree. I agree. That's mine as well. I want a domestic trophy, and I want a league challenge for the league again.
All right.
And yep, I agree with that 10,000%. But the only difference between you and I is that if he doesn't get the minimum requirement, you still want him for an extra season when Pep is gone. My thing is that if he doesn't get the minimum requirement, I want him gone. I'm sorry. If he doesn't win a trophy next season, man, as much as I'd want to keep him, is like a part of me just like the opportunity cost. The time we spend persisting with him, we could get another manager who can do the job in one season. Because I've seen too many examples of managers winning trophies in their first season and just getting it and getting it and getting it. And I'm just like, we're in this period of time where people are talking about phases, phase one, phase two, phase three, whatever. And I'm
Yep.
seeing Xabi Alonso, phase one, you know,
Oblit
beats
Bundesliga.
obliterates of Bundesliga. I'm just like, what? And so when I see things like that, I'm just like, that's crazy.
The crazy thing is, not only does he do that, but he renews his contract and says, "I'm sticking around. I want to do that again."
That is
He
elite
has
mentality, man.
he has saved the Bundesliga by just doing that for one season. Not only that,
Yep.
but winning the domestic double, and the fact that Leipzig started the season by winning the Super Cup. So Bayern got nothing.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And
Complete
that's a
shutout.
winning football.
Yeah,
That's a winning football, bro.
yeah, it's a win
And
for
I want,
football.
yeah, and I want us to save the Premier League. The Premier League is now a farmers league. I'm sorry to say, but this is a farmers league. 4 seasons in a row, one team has won it. Four.
Mhm.
That's a
And
madness.
the thing is, people want to hold us culpable for the last two, and I'm like, where? What were the rest of y'all doing? Is what I would
Yeah, I
like
don't
to.
understand it either. I don't understand it
Yeah,
either.
that
Why?
whole thing about we allowed them to go four. I mean, what about the first two?
A matter of fact, I would say there
These
are
two,
nine. There are literally 18 other teams. There are 18 other teams other than Arsenal who could have tried to challenge City, but no, we're the only ones that did it. I mean, Liverpool tried a thing, but ultimately Liverpool bottled it. I mean, this season nobody can say that Arsenal bottled it. We never bottled the league. We were
nope,
only like what, like
60 days max.
see exactly. Liverpool was a matter of fact. Spurs won the league in October. Spurs won the
Yep,
league in October. So I mean, there you go. Spurs won the league in October. They're October champions. You
yep.
know, um, Liverpool was on top of the league for majority of the season.
About 90 days.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So ultimately, so no one can say that Arsenal bottled it. I can understand the season before. Yeah, we did bottle it. 93% of the season, and we didn't win it. Yeah, that was bottling for sure. I won't excuse that. But this season, no, we didn't bottle it. We didn't bottle it at all.
Nope.
I
It was
think we I
never in
think
our
we'd have,
hands,
I think we'd
really,
have.
but we were the closest.
Yeah, we were. We were, and I think we're gonna challenge again. I know it. I know I don't want to sound egotistical, but I do believe we're gonna challenge again. I do believe it's gonna be close, and I want to tell us the City fans, beware, beware. We're going. I know that the previous season you guys talked about the Blue Shark chasing Arsenal. Well, guess what? We're the Gunners. We got a big cannon. Beware.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're
And
changing,
Arsenal is literally
changing the logo next season for all the kids.
yeah,
So let's the
exactly.
year of the
Just like
cannon.
the year of the cannon. So let's go. So I want to wrap up. I want to say big up to Wolfgang, big up to all the viewers. Big up to my guest host Bob, aka Jamcasian. Make sure you follow him on X. He has all the tweets. All the well. Did you still call it tweets or do you call it X's
Bro,
on on
posts.
that site?
Let's just call them posts, bro. Posts, reposts, retweets.
Yeah, yeah. He has all the tweets, reposts, all those things for you guys relating to Arsenal and football overall. Um, nearer to Euros, we're gonna do a Euro stream. We're gonna talk about your Euro preview all the teams.
When is
We're
the
gonna talk
June
about
14th?
that.
June 16th?
Yeah, I think June 16th. So yeah, like I think a week before we're gonna preview all the teams. So when they come out to their final, when all the teams come out with their final rosters.
I think they're FOTMob might have the predictor thing too, so we can probably compare those.
Yeah, yeah. So we can do that. So guys, I mean, trust me, we have a lot of content coming your way, man. We have a lot of content, Arsenal content, transfers. We have a lot of just general football. I mean, Bob and I support Netherlands, so we'll be kind of biased, but we'll also speak about other big teams. Portugal, England.
Oh
You
man,
know,
team
all this.
compositions. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we have a lot to speak about. But really, really appreciate you guys being on. We really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. Give us like the channel, share the content around. You know, this is the home of football, guys. So yeah, home of Arsenal. So Bob, any final words?
Let the madness commence with the transfer window. I'll be bawling and screaming for Victor Gyökeres until we sign him.
All right, there you go. So that is his prior to signing Victor Gyökeres. Mine would be Alexander Isak, but I don't think we're gonna get him. But that's my ideal signing. But yeah, there we go, people. Thanks for watching. Thank you for being on. Big up on
86
yourself.
million
And
pounds,
peace.
Arsenal. Come on. It's one release clause. Just I'm sorry.